your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Yes, yes, yes. On a Tuesday. It's going to be a Tapatio Tuesday here, Allen Stiles Show. Sacktown Sports taking up to 2 p.m. Had some fun with Carmichael Dave, Jason Ross, Christopher Law during the crosstalk. Always love making people feel just a little uncomfortable. And we're going to have some possibly uncomfortable conversations about one Brock Purdy. And, of course, we have plenty of Kings talk as the Kings look to make it great with 8, but they'll have to do it without Malik Monk. Malik Monk is dealing with a groin injury, okay? I believe it's his right groin. And let me just say this. Not too long ago, it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, I was playing basketball myself. Went up to try to steal a pass, and it was one of the more painful feelings I've ever felt. I strained my groin, and obviously I'm not an NBA basketball player, but it stunk, man, and I was down for the count for a while. The groin is one of those situations where you don't realize how much you use it until you hurt it, right? You realize, this actually hurts when I walk. Laterally, and we know how electric Malik is. I can't really do a lot of the things that I normally do. So I am glad, and I heard Dave say this as well, glad that the Kings are not messing around with it. It's just not something you can mess around with. I do think that, it's one of those where it's situated. Okay, it's one of those situations, and I believe Trey Lyles had a groin injury going into the season as well. But it's one of those situations where, obviously, you're talking about soft tissue injuries, things like that. With the hamstring, you can wrap up the hamstring really tight and kind of power through, right? The groin, because of where it's situated, you can't really do that. You just have to basically wait it out. So I think the bigger thing is, beyond this game, as the Kings are really making a push here with some of the other teams, and that tie we've been talking about with the bottom of the Western Conference right now, the Kings, if I'm not mistaken, let's see here, the Kings, they are still in that 9 seed, but they have surpassed the Warriors, who now have 20 losses, Spurs, Suns. Now it's down to a 3-way tie. So the Kings are in a position where, hey, we can see the light, but we don't have to force it right now. They're 2 games back of not just the 5 seed, or not just the 6 seed, the 5 seed as well, and the 7 seed. All those teams have 17 losses. So as much as we love what's happening with the Kings, you can't force it. You can't force it right now. That's just not, a groin is just not something to mess around with. And they're making the right decision. And I think the hope now is that Malik doesn't have to miss too much time. So we know it seems like it's a bit precautionary. Great reporting from Chris Biederman, who's out there with the Sacramento Bee. And we will see what happens there. Speaking of great reporting, one of our faves will be back on the show at around 11 o'clock. Sean Cunningham of Fox 40 will be joining us to talk about the winning streak for the Sacramento Kings, this Malik Monk injury, and moves, right? How does Sean view the team now with the win streak now happening? And how does Sean view some of the things that we're hearing about Mike Brown and how things ended? There's some sound from the Run It Back pod, Chandler Parsons, essentially saying it doesn't seem like the guys would run through a wall for Mike Brown. And the way I look at that is, well, at one point, I believe they would have. So what happened? Does it matter at this point? But the reason I would say it matters is you don't want to see the same thing happen again, right? Doug Christie, how positive he is. It's really easy to be very positive when you're winning basketball games. How does that message hit once you lose a couple? How does that message hit when things don't necessarily go your way? So the reason I want to talk about it, we know Mike Brown has now moved on and the Kings have moved on, but how do you make sure? Because Beam Team season, I think the Kings would have ran through a wall for Mike Brown that season. I think. So is there any way to prevent this stuff from happening, or is it just the way of the world? So we will have that conversation as well. One note that we never got to was this Eagles fan situation. And I know Draper from Philly, I went to school in Philly, so got love for Philly. And, they throw snowballs at Santa Claus. That's just kind of their thing, is being jerk fans. But I'm curious here because I don't really know how I would have handled it. And I'm trying to think if I've been in situations. I feel like I've been in situations where, I don't know, you have somebody who just kind of be in a bleep hole, right? Like situations like that. And I'm just speaking to the men because this is you defending your partner in most of these cases, right? And look, it can happen the other way around. But in these situations where your girl gets catcalled, something like that, you have to make it a situation. It reminds me a lot of when Keeping It Real goes wrong with Dave Chappelle. Remember that from back in the day when they're just different situations and these people have to make life choices and they decide to keep it real, and most of the time it goes wrong. So there's a lot of people are coming down the road of the woman's partner who was recording while his significant other is being berated and belittled. And, he did say some things back, but the conversation was, there's Mr. Alpha in the, on Twitter or on the text. If that were me, he wouldn't have any of his teeth. So we want to talk about that a little bit just because I do think it's a pretty unique situation. And what would you do if this was a Kings game? Obviously, Kings, they'd be at home. But if you're put in that situation, let's say you're not a Kings fan, right? And you're at a Kings game. There's a Kings. I don't think a Kings fan would do this, but there's a Kings fan. Just maybe had one too many and just saying some of the wrong things. How would you handle it? Because honestly, I've thought a lot about it, and I'm not really sure how I would handle it. So we're going to break down all that stuff as well, because I just think it's an interesting conversation. Of course, we have your Kings Bucks preview. The Milwaukee Bucks got off to, you talk about the shaky start from the Kings. The Bucks had a ridiculously shaky start. They move on from their head coach last season while they're a top 3 seed. I think they might have been the top seed in the East, something like that. And now they move on to Doc Rivers. You have Giannis, who not really sure what to do with Giannis as far as where he'll be in the greater conversation once his career ends. But he has had one of the highest highs, I think, and he's in that conversation for faces of the league. You have Dame Lillard probably stayed. Look, it's funny because of this De'Aaron Fox situation. You have Dame Lillard, who I believe if you gave him shoot serum, he'd say, yeah, Foxy, I probably stayed in Portland too long. And I wanted to prove that I'm riding for the city. I wanted to prove that I love the city just as much as they love me. But I have a feeling if you truly talk to Dame Lillard, and we'll see how it ends for him, but if you truly talk to Dame Lillard, he might say that he stayed too long. I think the difference is he was put in situations where they went to a Western Conference Finals. They did at least entertain the possibility that they could make a run. Did anybody ever think the Blazers were going to win the whole thing? No, but the Blazers, they tried different pieces around Dame. They tried CJ McCollum. They tried Nurkic. They tried other guys, couldn't get it to work out. And eventually Dame said, you know what? I think it is what it is, and I'm going to move forward. Now, Dame, is he still in his prime? He's on the other side for sure. No. So you would sit there and say, well, if I'm De'Aaron Fox, I don't want to wait too long. I would say the argument is, if you're asking me, have the Sacramento Kings helped De'Aaron Fox as much as or attempted to help De'Aaron Fox as much as the Blazers attempted to help Dame Lillard? I feel like that answer is no. I feel like it's close. But I feel like the Blazers were always trying things. It didn't really work out, but they tried the CJ McCollum Dame thing for a bit. They brought in different guys. It just never really worked out, but they definitely tried.
Well, they kind of tinkered around the edges for a lot of it because Damian Lillard, after LaMarcus Aldridge left in 2015, Damian Lillard never had another all-star teammate his entire time in Portland. So they brought in Nurkic. They flipped Al-Farouq Aminu for Rodney Hood at one point.
Well, like you said, that initial move, right? That initial move where they they said, okay, well, LaMarcus Aldridge isn't working, but that was also a move. So they tried.
So I think LaMarcus Aldridge leaving in free agency was less about Portland and not working out and more so just LaMarcus is going to go to a team that's ready-made to win. Meanwhile, we're going to build around Dame and CJ and Mo Harkless, and at the time it was Al-Farouq Aminu. So like while they were competing, I don't think they did enough to really put them over the top.
Right.
But that would have required an all-in trade that might have pushed Damian Lillard out. And there was never that pressure to make that all-in move. I still think when the Anthony Davis was leaving the Pelicans thing went on, I thought that was the moment they should have tried to put Anthony Davis with Damian Lillard. It didn't happen, but it would have been an all-in move to try and push all the chips in the table while Dame was in his prime.
So you have a Dame Lillard who is now in Milwaukee, and last season, I honestly feel bad. Number one, Dame is from the Bay, so I got to shout out Dame. Growing up in Oakland and really repping Oakland. He's a Raider fan, so we both kind of struggled through that. But now you have him in Milwaukee. They were injured, didn't really get a good shot at it this season. Chris Middleton, I believe he's out tonight.
Are you sure?
I believe he's out tonight. I know he was relegated to the bench. I saw that story last week.
This is the joke you made last week. You just never know if Chris Middleton is available.
I truly don't. And he's a separate conversation you could have. They sneak that championship, so Giannis, he avoids all those conversations.
I'd sneak that championship.
Well, they snuck it. Well, there's one.
Sure, I guess Kevin Durant's foot on the line might have been sneaking it. But
I'd say sneaking it because they had one, and we haven't really heard from them.
Sure,
since.
but that was the most impressive finals maybe ever from Giannis on one foot, putting up 50-point games and block shots.
Right.
We don't talk enough about how amazing that finals
because it's
was.
It's a one and done. It's an Aaron Rodgers situation.
Sure, but it's like Shaq winning with the Lakers. It was like one of the greatest finals performances ever.
Well, I'm glad it was because it's the only one he's got. So we'll see what happens tonight as the Kings take on the Bucks. It will be without Malik Monk. Well, at what point are we going to get everyone? But they continue to win either way. And look, Frankie and Brandon, if you're listening, I know you are. Well, Frankie actually might not be. We'll see what's the update on Frankie. But Frankie and Brendan, you wanted Keon to start? Okay, let's see what it looks like with De'Aaron Fox back. 4 hours with you. Plenty of Kings talk. We got Sean Cunningham at 11. But on the other side, there is a term that I really don't like using, but I'm going to use it because some of you Brock Purdy fans need to chill. That's coming up. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find. Happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our number one priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Insurance companies perform a very valuable service, but they want to keep their money. Although most cases settle before trial, it is paramount that the insurance companies know that if pressed, your legal team has the experience to take your case all the way. For 25 years, Ashton & Price has earned the reputation that if the insurance company isn't fair, we're ready to force them to be fair. My mom used to warn me, wait till dad gets home. Think of us as dad. The best part, there's no fee until we win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Live and local 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. And I'm watching yesterday. Like I said, plenty of Kings talk. We got 4 hours with you. Sean Cunningham coming up at 11 as we get you ready for Kings Bucks. We have that sound that will play at some point, how things ended for the Sacramento Kings the last time they were in Milwaukee. Malik Monk missing those free throws. Dame Lillard going Dame time. And Malik Monk saying something to the effect of, I'll be better. We need to be better. That was when they were, what were they? The worst free throw shooting team in the league. So much has happened since that point. But let's see if the Kings can get it done. This time they won't have Malik Monk to lean on to. So we have plenty to get to as far as the Kings are concerned and just the NBA in general updates on the Jimmy Butler saga. He had a face-to-face meeting with Pat Riley, and essentially he going to opt into that $52 million, and then you're going to trade me. That's essentially what Jimmy Butler is trying to say. But real quick, these NFL playoffs have been very, very confusing to me because I feel like nobody knows what to do with all of the other guys. So you have Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. And I would say that those are the dudes, okay? What is happening with the Brock Purdy conversation has been very frustrating to me. And the word I'm going to use that I don't necessarily like using simply because I just think it's overused and sometimes not used properly, but the word I'm going to use is gaslighting. And what I'm seeing from some Niner fans, okay, and Niner media members is a lot of gaslighting when it comes to Brock Purdy. What this is turning into, so you had Brian Baldinger, who was on Bay Area radio not too long ago while Sam Darnold was cooking, absolutely cooking. And Baldy essentially said, and I used to work with Baldy. I got love for Baldy. Baldy essentially said, hey, if I can get Sam Darnold on a $10 million discount cheaper than Brock Purdy, I would entertain that, right? And at the time, certain people agreed with Baldy. Certain people thought it was ridiculous, okay? So now, ever since that moment, Sam Darnold has turned back into a pumpkin. I think he might have had one crazy game, but Sam Darnold has turned into a pumpkin. He got sacked about 9 times last night, which seems impossible to do. And now everybody is kind of just raking Baldy through the coals. What a ridiculous statement. Anybody that wanted to talk about Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold, that's absurd. That's absurd. That's absurd. And it might be. But here's my issue. Let's not forget that earlier this year, going into this season, Brock coming off of the Super Bowl appearance, this was never about Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold. People weren't sitting there saying that Brock Purdy was a bum. Maybe some people out there, but that wasn't the conversation. The conversation was, should Brock Purdy be in the same talks, okay, and comparisons with Lamar Jackson, with Patrick Mahomes, with Joe Burrow, with Josh Allen? And the Niners fans and some Niners media out there, that was the conversation. Just this season, people were saying, oh, well, Brock Purdy's been playing better than Josh Allen. That was before they went to Buffalo. That was just a couple months ago. Just a couple months ago. So I'm not going to let you gaslight people into, hey, well, Brock is a capable QB, and you got to pay a capable QB market value. That's what it's always been about. He just plays the position. No. We're not doing that. You, with your whole chest out, wanted to put Brock into conversations with the other top 4, top 5 QBs. So you're not going to run off one single take, and now all of a sudden it's, how ridiculous. Hey, guys, look over here. How ridiculous was this take? We didn't forget. I got this one for you. I'm going to read it out loud. I'm not going to necessarily call out the host, but you can look it up for yourself. This is from a Bay Area radio station. I used to work with this guy. And like I said, I'm not going to say his name, but you can find it out for yourself. This was September 6th, 2024. September 6th. This is a quote, okay? And I'm not giving them the free promo, so I'm not going to say where, but this is a quote from a Bay Area radio station. One of the hosts. Quote, I know it sounds crazy, but if you let me drop Lamar Jackson onto the 49ers, I'd say no thank you. I'm going to roll with Brock Purdy this year. So this is what we're talking about. Those conversations. So you can't say, look over here, look over here. Brock is so much better than Sam Darnold. Yeah, that's fine. But if you're asking me what's a more ridiculous statement, Sam Darnold being $20 million worse or getting better value instead of paying Brock that $50 million, or putting Brock into the same conversations with the four horsemen, I actually don't know what is more ridiculous. So you can't say, look over here, look over here, look over here, like we're just going to ignore what you were saying just a couple months ago, the collective you. So now you're going to go on, and I just get so sick of it every time a quarterback that one person said anything about Brock Purdy, now we're going to victory lap that he's better than Sam Darnold. That's not what this was about. This was about you sitting here saying that Brock Purdy should be in conversations. Oh, he's got the 10-yard split with Lamar, and he's the best processor, blah, 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 blah. So stand on that. We went back and forth about whether or not Brock Purdy needed the Avengers to ball out. And it seems like a lot of other QBs, he does. And that's fine. There are the dudes, and then there's everybody else. I had Brock Purdy ranked 7th going into this season. You want to know why? Because he did ball out last season. And going into this season, I think that there's 4 or 5 dudes and everybody else. And Brock Purdy, to me, is probably one of the best of everybody else. And that's fine and good. And if you got to pay that guy $50 million, because I don't know what to do with Jordan Love. I don't know what to do with some of these other guys. But that wasn't what y'all were on going into the season. It was, Brock is one of those guys, and there's draftism, and y'all don't want to put him in the same category because he's Mr. Irrelevant. But now all of a sudden, you're victory lapping being better than Sam Darnold. Come on now. Just stand on it. Just stand on the fact that, hey, when the facts change, opinions change. At that time, at that moment in time, I did think Brock might have been, and he still could. The kid is only, 24 years old? He still could. But let's not go all humble pie, and all of a sudden it's, hey, it's just really great to have a good QB, and you got to pay that guy. And that's what this is. I have another one. I think I'd still have it up. And I was telling Kyle about this. This is how everything is shifting now based on what we saw from Brock. And Brock still finished top 10 QBR. Brock still did a lot. Brock still did a lot this season.
Yeah, he was fine.
He was fine. But now this is from, and this guy always rides for Brock. All right. This is from David Lombardi, who has sat there, and he's the same guy who wanted to have conversations about Brock being better than Josh Allen right before that game this year. You can pull the tape. It's on his YouTube. I don't watch his YouTube, but it came up on the clip. This is what he said. This is 13 hours ago. Welcome to the NFL, where it's hard to play QB, especially in the playoffs. When you have a QB who can do it, you pay him. Business 101 for everyone who needs it again. So there's the gaslighting, because you were just saying Brock should be in conversation. That is not the same statement as what y'all were on going into the season. It was Brock is elite, and y'all need to recognize that. Now that Brock didn't have his best season, he was missing some of his guys. Now it's, hey, he's a good, solid quarterback, and that's still hard to find, which is true. But let's not moonwalk like Michael Jackson and act like you weren't talking big talk going into this season. So I just had to get that off my chest. I see a bunch of people calling in, so I'm going to get your take on it.
Do you feel better now?
I feel much better.
Good.
I feel much better, but I want to hear what everybody else has to say, because I had him number 7. I'm not a Brock Purdy hater, but the victory lapping for every single QB that y'all said shouldn't even be in the why are you victory lapping that? If you never should have been in the conversation anyway. All right, TC, Dwayne, Ramiz, we got you. Give me about 3 minutes. We'll get to you on the other side. Brock Purdy talk, then we get into some Kings. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Tonight Kings and Bucks. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings is Sacktown Sports 1140.
This year, resolve to save on the all-new 2025 Silverado at Maida Chevy with $8,000 off MSRP after rebates on over 30 new half-ton Silverado LT and RST after rebate. And Maida Chevy has one of the largest selections of new 2025 Silverados in the Sacramento area. $8,000 off new 2025 Silverado at Maida Chevy. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers based on 2011 or newer Chevrolet.
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Hey, what's up, Sacramento? It's Kyle Draper. Turn up the cleanliness at your restaurant, healthcare, or industrial business with Alsco Uniforms, the official sponsor of the Sacramento Kings Mop Crew. We've got you covered with crisp uniforms, hygienically clean linens, floor mats, and of course, mops delivered weekly. But that's not all. Alsco Uniforms also offers weekly services for first aid and restroom supplies. Discover why it pays to keep clean with Alsco Uniforms. Just go to alsco.com to learn more. Again, that's ALSCO.com.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
A Tapatio Tuesday here at Sacktown Sports, Allen Stiles Show. And I just could not even watch the game yesterday, guys. I couldn't do it. So I had to just get that off my chest. I know we got Kings Bucks, another huge matchup. I mean, that's what happens when you play the Celtics. Everything else doesn't seem as big, but look, you have the Bucks in Milwaukee. No Malik Monk. This is a huge game, a huge opportunity for the Kings. We were looking at the standings, and the Kings with those 19 losses, 2 games back. I got to see if the Mavericks, I'm sure the Mavericks, Clippers, I think the Lakers played yesterday. They lost to the Spurs. Really good note from Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama, what they did for JJ Redick's kids. So we'll talk about that as well. But you're 2 games back now. There's a huge opportunity. Huge opportunity, and this thing is far from over. I mean, we're still looking at the 4 seed. I mean, and technically, if I'm looking at the 4 seed, I'm looking at the 3 seed. The Grizzlies got 15 losses, so this thing is far from over. It feels like months ago. The last time we were worried about the Sacramento Kings was when Brock Purdy was being talked about in the same conversations as Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. It's funny how quickly things can change.
So
Kyle.
You're saying back when Brock Purdy had a healthy elbow.
That's right. Well, that too. And that's part of it, though. To me, that is one thing I don't think enough people are talking about as far as when it comes to Brock is he's always got something going on with that arm of his.
Sure, but the Niners are probably going to write injury protections into that contract.
Probably.
Right? If they know that he has elbow issues and had elbow issues at the end of the season, they're probably going to write something into that contract.
Yeah.
They need him to be able to throw the ball down the field at least now and again. I know that offense, they incorporate zone run schemes and everything, and Ayuk was that ultimate safety blanket when he was healthy, and obviously Ayuk's not going anywhere anymore, but they got to have like some sort of ability to throw the ball down the field, no matter how many great receivers.
A lot of underthrows towards the end of the season. Brock said he was good, and then towards the end, he had the weird stinger, so we'll see what happens. Let's open up the phone lines, 916-339-1140. We got Ramiz, Dwayne, and TC. Let's hear from Ramiz. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Ramiz? What you got for us?
Hey, gentlemen. How you guys doing this morning? It's kind of interesting you brought this conversation because I brought it up. And I'm not a Niners fan. I can't stand that franchise because their fan base is a bandwagon franchise. Anyways, I brought this up on the afternoon show a couple weeks ago, and I was on Jay telling Jay, hey, get ready to pay your quarterback. And he's just like, oh, yeah, he'll take 40 million. I'm like, no, the going rate is 50, because I can tell you right now, I know the Raiders will pay Brock, the Jets, and the Titans, because they need quarterbacks. If Brock goes somewhere else, because I have Brock as a top 10 quarterback, if he goes anywhere else, they're going to pay him. And that's what the Niners do. They're like, oh, we're not going to pay this guy because he's going to take a discount. No, he was the last pick in the draft. He needs to get his money. That's the going rate.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for the call, Ramiz. And that's a interesting way to look at it too. I mean, that's my main piece of this. People want it all, right? And if you have a dude, you want him to be in those conversations so bad when sometimes it's not necessary. What Ramiz is essentially saying is Brock Purdy is still better than a lot of quarterbacks, right? The Raiders would probably pay him. The Titans, now I know that they have draft picks and things like that, but you get what we're saying. If somebody is looking for a quarterback, they would not have a problem paying Brock Purdy. But that you also don't have to have the conversation that Brock should be in those conversations as the four horsemen, as I call them. And look, if Lamar loses to Josh Allen, somebody will probably say, take Lamar out of it. I think Lamar is probably number 4 on that list. It's either Lamar or Joe Burrow, depending on how you want to look at it.
Probably Joe Burrow, because Lamar is going to win back-to-back MVPs and his third MVP at 28 years old. He might lose to Josh Allen, but he's probably number 2.
And we got to see, I mean, if he loses to Josh Allen without, I mean, I guess his number 1 receiver is probably Mark Andrews, but if there's no Zay Flowers, I mean, the way in Buffalo already, how much should Lamar take a hit? Is now Brock Purdy going to enter number 4?
No, the answer is Derrick Henry. That's going to be the solution. They're going to be doing a lot of running the ball against Buffalo, and Buffalo's going to be doing a lot of running the ball against Baltimore.
Yeah, James Cook is probably one of the most understated running backs in the league right now.
Which, last thing to Ramiz's point, going rate is $60 million, not 50. The going rate is $60 million for Brock Purdy.
916-339-1140. Let's get to Dwayne. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Dwayne? What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, though, man? Now, I called this week 1, man. I'm not going to bring up the 30-minute segment. I'm not going to bring it up at all. But I knew this about Purdy all the way, man. What's happening now is you got to understand, not only can he not touch the 4 horsemen, and that's not even close, but he's the 3rd best quarterback in the NFC West. You know what I'm saying? He's behind Stafford and he's behind Kyler. So how could you pay him all that money when he's the 3rd? He went 1-5 in his division, and he's the 3rd best quarterback in that division. Only one he's better than is Geno, right? So I'm not sure how you do that.
I don't know if I got it. I don't know. I like Kyler's ceiling, but I don't know if I can. Both of them have issues, right? I mean, Kyler has a higher ceiling, but Kyler can't really stay on the field. And I don't know if I got Kyler over Brock, Dwayne. I don't know about that one.
Allen, man, he beat him twice this year. He's going to beat him twice next year, bro.
All right. Thanks for the call, Dwayne. TC wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, TC? What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, man? If it's a spicy Tuesday, it's a spicy Tuesday. Let's get spicy. We had put the Kings on the back burner. Not really the back burner, but let's talk about Brock. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I was talking about moving on from Shanahan and bringing in Ben Johnson so he can get his own quarterback. If Brock's so dope, let's trade him to Tennessee, right? Everybody talking about they gonna pay Brock. Ain't nobody paying Brock $60 million. Brock is worth no more than $30 million, bro. And that's giving him a jug on that. I'm not giving Brock $50 million, bro. If he want to go, tell Tennessee, give us that first-round pick. If everybody thinks Brock is so dope, send him to Tennessee for a first round and get Ben up in here, bro, and let's get busy. Brock is not worth that, bro. You can't beat sticky man coverage. Sam Darnold can't even beat sticky man coverage, bro. I'm not paying you that, bro. You got everything going on with this elbow. Ain't nobody talking about it. You're going to have to need surgery. Dude, check it out. What Brock is elite at? Brock is elite at being a leader, right? Owning up to his own mistakes and throwing into a spot where he hopes his receiver's going to be at. That's anticipation. That's not accuracy. Hey, you know what, Allen? Run an out route, but I'm going to throw it before you turn your head because I know that you're going to be there. Bro, that's not elite.
Well, thanks for the call, TC. I'll never forget when I think I might have been the Dolphins, or you know what? I believe it was the Ravens when Brock had that really rough game against the Ravens on Christmas last season, and I believe someone on the defensive side of the ball for the Ravens called Brock a spot thrower. And basically, he's very accurate, but he wants to throw to his spots. And if you can beat his anticipation and get him off schedule, you have an opportunity. So and who else is a spot thrower? I would say
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff. Guys like that. Tua, I would say that as well.
I wouldn't go with that with Tua. Tua is more so the 2.5 second or less offense. It's we're getting the ball out, and whether you're at your spot or not, that's where we're throwing it to. But that's different because of the speed receivers that he has. With Jared Goff, it's interesting, though, because over the years, people have figured out how to throw disguises at Jared Goff and how to, if they show blitz and drop back, Jared Goff will sometimes get confused and turn the ball over. That's kind of the key to beat him that McVay kind of figured out and then uses against him now every time they play. But with Brock, you don't see that as often. It's mostly Brock makes an overthrow or Brock holds on to it too long is the times he gets in trouble. But I guess it's like a lesser version of Joe Burrow, right? Joe Burrow's game is predicated on timing routes, accuracy, and knowing, mental acumen of where receivers are supposed to go and things of those sorts. That's kind of Brock Purdy, but Joe Burrow is better at it than Brock Purdy.
I would say this as far as Brock is concerned. Yeah, I mean, TC, he's not getting $30 million. All right.
No, TC, we know where TC stands on this Niner team.
Brock is getting $50 million, maybe even more than that. He's not taking a discount just because he hangs out on a tractor sometimes, and he's just a good old boy. That he's not taking a discount. The agents won't even allow him to do that, or his agent is not going to allow him. Maybe if we're talking about a couple mil, sure, but I don't. The agent isn't going to let Brock sign for $40 million, even if he wanted to.
Also, I've been saying this before. You don't have to worry about the salary cap, whether it's $60 million a year or $50 million a year, whatever. As long as the Niners pay him cash up front, you can circumnavigate the cap. As long as the Niners give him that $100 million signing bonus or $80 million signing bonus up front, you can structure the rest of the guarantees however you want. It's not like it's this great deterrent that Brock Purdy is going to make $60 million a year against the cap. That's probably not what's going to happen. It's just the Niners are in the tough position of he's only making $900,000 right now. So no matter how much he makes, it's going to mean some players can't stick around.
Roddy on the SAC chat, shout out to the SAC chat, says QBs get paid. Brock will get 50 plus on the open market. The only way he doesn't is if he gives the Niners a discount. And that's what I keep saying. I just don't see why he would give the Niners that much of a discount. The 209 on the text line is asking, is Brock better than Goff? I think it's a good question. 530 says, Brock will ball out next year because the 49ers schedule is ridiculously easy. That's from James from the 530. I think that's a great point, James. We read off the Niners opponents next season, and it's pretty nuts. It's pretty crazy. I mean, and this is what's going to happen. Brock has another good season. Ayuk's back, lesser competition this season, or I should say easier schedule based on what they've done this season. And now everybody will go back to Brock should be in those top 5 conversations. Then look, maybe that's just a part of fandom. And if you're reporting on the Niners, if you will, but I just think that we kind of know who Brock is. He might have a year or two where he should be in those conversations, but he's just not going to be a staple.
Well, let me ask you this. If you feel like we kind of know what Brock Purdy is at this point, and it seems like most people wouldn't go as far as to say he's better than Justin Herbert, but also feel weird saying Jared Goff is better than him, right? So he's somewhere between that. You said 7, I said 9 to 11.
And a lot of Niner fans will throw the playoff record and say, give me Brock Purdy over Justin Herbert.
Sure.
I mean, I've heard it plenty.
I mean, let's say somewhere between 5 and 12,
yes.
Right? Most people agree he's somewhere between 5 and 12. Does the fact that Deebo Samuel probably won't be back next year, Javon Hargrave probably won't be back next year, a few pieces here and there are going to get picked away from the team, does that change your thought about how next season is going to go for the 49ers if you assume Brock Purdy is this guy and he's not going to see this gigantic improvement?
Yeah, I'm torn because I need to see Brock when he gets healthy again. having Ayuk back is huge. I know John Lynch has been saying the right things as far as Debo is concerned, so it's hard to tell what he means or what the truth is if we'll see Debo back. Ricky Pearsall another year there, and Ricky showed, some gadgety things that he can help with. Obviously, you finally get Christian McCaffrey healthy, so I think Brock will have plenty to work with going into this season. 916 says, tell that to Tua. Unfortunately, a Dolphins fan here. If we paid Tua $50 million, then Brock is at least. That's what we're talking about. That's from Mark, aka Pool Guy Mark. So thank you, Mark. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Tua and Jordan Love, these dudes that are running that. Don't blame us. Okay, blame the market. You can't give Tua and Jordan Love $50 million and expect Brock to get anything less.
Also, the interesting thing about those contracts is because the rest of Brock Purdy's draft class kind of stinks. Every quarterback that is 1 through 12 is already locked up long term. Mm-hmm. Brock is literally the only quarterback negotiating this offseason. So the Niners know where it stands. His agent knows where it stands. The market's not going to change by Justin Herbert signing a $270 million extension. No one's signing an extension this offseason. This is what the market is.
Yeah.
Brock's going to sign for however much money it's going to be. And then I think people are looking at the Tua or the Jordan Love or the Trevor Lawrence. I think look at the Dak Prescott contract, and that's probably your precedent.
Yeah, that's a lot, but we'll see what happens there. All right, let's hear from Chandler Parsons from the Run It Back pod. He had some things to say about the Mike Brown situation. And my thought process when listening to this was, well, when did it change, right? Could it have been my favorite player, Sasha Vezenkov, and how that was handled? When did all of this change? We'll hear from him right on the other side. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Tonight, Kings and Bucks game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports 1140.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
IBM has entered into a multi-year agreement to become the official fan engagement and data analytics partner of Scuderia Ferrari HP, the most renowned Formula One team, starting in 2025. The partnership brings together two iconic and enduring brands, both driven by a passion for innovation and commitment to progress. IBM and Scuderia Ferrari HP will conceive, develop, and deliver world-class digital experiences to bring racing enthusiasts closer than ever to the racing team, bringing marquee events to life for millions of fans around the world. Sponsored by IBM.
My good friends over at Jiffy Lube have an amazing New Year oil change special going on right now for the month of January. Get a full synthetic oil change starting at just $76.99 with a $33 off coupon online. That's right, starting at just $76.99 for a full synthetic motor oil change with a $33 off online coupon from jiffylube.com today. Offer valid for up to 5 quarts of premium motor oil, specialty vehicles, and diesel extra. Happy New Year from Jiffy Lube.
Celebrate the new year in style with a new Honda from Stockton Honda. Whether you're shopping new or pre-owned, Stockton Honda has the selection and savings. With over 500 new Hondas in stock and ready to go, now is the time to save on your favorite Honda in person or online. CRV, HRV, Pilot, Accord, Civic, and Ridgeline. It's a new year with endless possibilities. Get the deals that make it easy to say yes at Stockton Honda.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
This is Monster Jam. Witness big air, two-wheel skills, backflips, and all-out racing. It's the only place to see the world's best drivers tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Megalodon, and more. It's big-time fun for the whole family. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. Coming to Golden One Center January 24th through 26th. Brought to you by BKT Tires. Tickets on sale now at monsterjam.com.
You know, when it's all on the line, you need a big-time closer, and that's especially true when it comes to your garage door. And that's why I recommend National Garage Door, 638-4554. Whitey Gleason here for National Garage Door. Whether you're looking to repair an existing door or get a brand new one installed, you need National Garage Door. Family-owned and operated. They've been around since 1974 because service is their number one priority. National Garage Door are the region's BSE, it's broken spring experts. Styles, prices, and quality of the new doors will amaze you. Our garage door was starting to sound kind of, and that's not good. So Kevin from National Garage Door came out. He said patching up the old one was an option, but we're getting a new garage door. We're pretty happy about that. National Garage Door sells quality Rainer branded garage doors. They offer sales, service, and installation on all residential and commercial doors and operators. If you have garage door needs, old ones coming apart, or you're looking to improve your curb appeal, let National Garage Door come through for you in the clutch and be your closer. 638-4554, National Garage Door.
Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, is coming back May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, Cole Wetzel, Nate Smith, and more. You'll enjoy food trucks, rock walls, and a mechanical bull, line dancing, and more. Single-day GA tickets start at $52 at CITPFest.com. Country in the Park, May 16th and 17th with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Find out more at CITPFest.com.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Great stuff. Talking about Brock Purdy. 916 says, Brock is Sam Darnold, a mid-tier average QB. See, I don't agree with that. 916, I do not agree with that. I think Brock is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold.
As we literally saw yesterday, Sam Darnold cannot lead a team to a Super Bowl.
You know, and a lot of people were saying, Brock beat Sam out last season. What are we doing? I also didn't fully agree with that because, you know, if there are jobs, when someone is hiring internally, it's a lot different than, you know, they try to sit there and say everyone has the same chance. But I'm pretty sure if you're listening right now, there's probably a job that you apply to internally versus a job you apply to externally. And a lot of times those jobs internally, you have a much better chance of getting. So I'm not saying that Brock was coming back from the UCL thing. So I'm not saying that Brock didn't earn his starting job last season. He had a great season. They went to the Super Bowl. But let's not sit here and act like there was really an opportunity for Sam Darnold to beat out Brock Purdy.
Yeah, it was just, was Brock Purdy going to be healthy
exactly
at the start of the season, as far as I remember? God, there were so many pointless conversations about Sam Darnold and could he lead the 49ers.
Hey.
God, that summer was, I did so many shows filling in over that summer. It was just so many pointless Sam Darnold conversations.
Well, you know, I do think that it was at least somewhat interesting while Sam was balling out. And if you're a Vikings fan, shout out Chris Watkins, Skull. If you're a Vikings fan, at least you don't have to deal with this going into the offseason. At least you know, oh my goodness, are they going to, honestly, no disrespect, do the Geno Smith thing, right? I mean, there's probably a group of Seahawks fans that, enjoyed when Geno did his thing, but now you've kind of been stuck with Geno. If you had just stunk, right, or not stunk, but made it very clear that Geno isn't the guy, the same way Sam Darnold made it very clear they're going to move on to J.J. McCarthy, and they don't have to deal with the whole summer of, should we hold on? If they get to the NFC Championship and Sam plays well, that's a different conversation. At least you can move forward with J.J. McCarthy.
The Geno Smith thing for me at this point is like, he must be the greatest teammate ever, because Geno Smith got his first offensive coordinator, the head coaching job with the Panthers. Mm-hmm. He got, or I guess quarterback coach, but he got his quarterback coach, the head coaching job with the Panthers. He's gotten one offensive coordinator fired now. Mm-hmm. This is the second different coach of the Seahawks while he's been quarterback. Quarterbacks who are Geno Smith don't usually survive multiple coaching changes and 3 offensive coordinators like that. He must be the greatest teammate ever at this point.
You know, and maybe that's part of it. All right, let's get to some Kings talk here. Sean Cunningham is going to join us in about 10 minutes. Let's get to some Kings talk. And Chandler Parson on the Run It Back pod, he had this to say about Mike Brown, and I'm curious everyone's thoughts on this, because as I'm listening to it, my first thought is, well, even if that's true, when did this change? When did things change? And how can we make sure it doesn't change with Doug Christie? Here it is.
before we move on here, it's true. The vibe with your coach, it's not like guys are going to try and play bad or miss shots or try and lose games if they don't like the coach. But you hear this saying like, I'll run through a wall for that guy. They weren't going to run through a wall for Mike Brown. I wasn't going to run through a wall for Lloyd Pierce in Atlanta. I couldn't stand the dude. Like, I just thought, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying.
just mention that. Yep.
There are certain situations where you just simply don't like the dude, don't trust the guy, feel like you're not getting a fair shot, where that impacts the team, and that becomes a distraction. Maybe that's not even the player's fault. Maybe that's not even the coach's fault. But there's always situations like this where this happens, and this seems to be the case with the Kings.
That was Chandler Parsons from the Run It Back pod. Yeah, I mean, look, we understand how this stuff works. These people, they talk about everything throughout the NBA and beyond on these shows. And Chandler Parsons is giving his thought process on it. We can take it with a grain of salt, whatever we want to do. But I do want to take some bits from what he said, because I don't think, he was talking about a situation in Atlanta. I don't know that there was anybody out there that disliked Mike Brown. I don't know. But I don't know that there was anybody out there that disliked Mike Brown. When he says what he says about running through a wall, right? I found that to be interesting, because are you telling me, when does this stuff change? Because it's hard for me to believe that if you ask this question to the Kings during the Beam Team season, you would find somebody that wouldn't run through a wall for Mike Brown. So is it something that just gradually happens? He went on to say guys that think they should be getting playing time are that almost sounds like, is Sabonis mad that Sasha Vezenkov didn't get? And I'm making up a situation here. Could a Sabonis have been mad that Sasha Vezenkov didn't get an opportunity? Was somebody mad that Harris, dare I say, Harrison Barnes never sat a game? Was anybody upset at Kevin Huerter and or maybe there were separate situations where Kevin Huerter, I don't think he would have two legs to stand on to be upset with Mike Brown. He had ample opportunity. Sasha Vezenkov, he could have some gears to grind on Mike Brown and the whole organization. When Sasha came out and said what he said not too long ago, my whole thought process is, Monty McNair was just as a big part of this as Mike Brown was, and possibly more of a piece. We don't know that it's hard for me to believe that after the Beam Team season, Mike Brown said, you know what we need? And I know some guys went cold, Keegan Murray, Kevin Huerter. You know what we need? We need more shooting. We need a guy that probably can't defend at the NBA level, doesn't really dribble, but he's going to be able to shoot the basketball. I don't know if that was number one on Mike Brown's priority list. So it's funny now, because I always thought that Sasha maybe had more of a personal thing with Mike Brown because of how his time went. But since Mike Brown is no longer the coach, maybe there was something more to that than I initially thought. Ultimately, at what point did things shift? Was it how Sasha was treated? Which might sound insane, but was it how Sasha was treated? Was it how he handled some of the rotations? Was it the doghouse thing with Keon Ellis? Was it the Malik Monk not being in the starting lineup thing? There are definitely situations you could pick from, but as I was listening to Chandler Parsons talk about it, it did make me wonder, going into, they signed the contract and everybody likes the contract. We know that De'Aaron Fox felt really strongly about Mike Brown. From the Beam Team, from Steph Curry doing what he did in Golden One Center and the buzzer sounding off, to, I guess, when he got let go, what happened? What happened with the message? Because I think Mike is a pretty optimistic guy. What happened with the message? Where did things go left? Was it just the fact that they started losing games? Is Doug Christie now immune to this? There are guys that you would run through a wall for, but now you wouldn't. And the things that can change, some of it may have been in Mike Brown's control. Some of it, maybe it wasn't in his control.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when Mike Brown got fired, we talked about how even if there were issues, did it warrant needing to make a coaching change mid-season, right? Were these things that were so irreconcilable that they were just going to move on, and we're going to try and bring Doug in and see if that changes the feeling in the locker room? And
right.
I don't think in those 18 months it got to that point, but I'm not privy to the same information as the guys in the locker room. And very often when a coach does quote unquote lose a locker room or lose trust in the players, it doesn't look the way that you think it looks, where everything blows up in your face and it's terrible. I thought for Chandler Parsons' point, it was interesting that he was on that same Hawks team that Kevin Huerter was on, where they fired Lloyd Pierce, installed Nate McMillan, and went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I just thought it was interesting to hear that perspective, because I know Brennan, after Mike got fired, asked Kevin basically the same question about the Lloyd Pierce firing, and to hear Chandler say he couldn't stand the guy was just a little bit telling about what was happening in that situation.
And everybody's a professional. You know, no one is going to come out and say, actually, I wasn't really messing with him. Chandler can do that now, but we could probably find interviews from Chandler Parsons being asked about the firing, and he was not saying this. We won't know.
He was also a deep bench guy on that team too.
So, of course, he can't get any playing time. So maybe that's part of it. Who knows? But
I don't know what the deal was with that one.
Yeah, so I thought that it was pretty interesting. And look, I get it. We're moving forward. The Kings are on a 7-game winning streak, but it would be – there's really no way to tell this story without Mike Brown because of how things continue. You have Doug Christie as the interim. We've talked about what he has to do to get that interim tag removed. So anytime somebody, is bringing a different perspective, I do find it, it just makes you wonder what actually happened in there. And, I sit there and say, we're never going to find out. Nowadays, you probably will. You probably will at some point. All right. Well, you will find out what Sean Cunningham thinks about all this in about 5 minutes. Sean Cunningham is going to join us to talk Kings. Can they make the winning streak 8? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Tonight, Kings and Bucks. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports 1140.
Intercepted by Fred Warner.
Faithful to the Bay.
Fred gets up and runs back the other way, 30.
Don't miss the excitement of 49ers game day. Secure your spot at Levi's Stadium for the 2025 season.
20, one block and he's in.
Season tickets are available now. Inventory is limited, so to speak with a representative, call 415-GO-49ers.
Touchdown!
That's 415-GO-49ers.
San Francisco!
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Hi, I'm Justin Gingery from the law firm of Gingery, Hammer & Associates. When you have been injured by the fault of another, you will want advice you can trust. If you know an attorney you can trust, I hope you call that person. But if you don't, please call me. I promise I will be the attorney you can trust, along with my entire team. I have been helping accident survivors recover compensation for their injuries for 25 years, and we can help you. There is no charge for calling. If you have an injury, just call Gingery.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. Subcontractorsunited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
This year, resolve to save on the all-new 2025 Silverado at Maida Chevy with $8,000 off MSRP after rebates on over 30 new half-ton Silverado LT and RST after rebates. And Maida Chevy has one of the largest selections of new 2025 Silverados in the Sacramento area. $8,000 off new 2025 Silverado at Maida Chevy. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers. Based on 2011 or newer Chevrolet.
What would it take for a plumbing company to earn your trust? Jerry and Kenny here from Bell Brothers. And let's face it, plumbing and service companies don't always have the best reputation.
So to earn your trust, the first thing they'd have to do is actually answer the phone when you call with a real live person. Then they'd have to send a plumber when you needed them, day or night, without charging extra for emergency services.
A trustworthy plumber would show up on time, wearing a clean uniform and name badge, and be able to show that they had passed a background check and drug test.
A plumber you could trust would give you a firm quote on the job before starting and clean up after they finish the job.
That's exactly the plumber you'll get when you call Bell Brothers. A plumber you can trust. Call Bell Brothers right now for all your plumbing needs. Our number is 916-444-1234 or find us online at thenosurpriseguys.com.
The No Surprise Guys, Bell Brothers.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/radio and use code radio for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/radio and use code radio at checkout.
Something amazing is happening in education. Students are inspired and engaged. That's because school districts consulted with CDW, who designed modern classroom solutions with pre-configured HP devices, making learning more accessible, secure, and immersive. Now, when students study topics like elephants, it feels like elephants are there with them. HP and CDW make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/HPPSG.
Hey, this is Greg Papa. Are you working through a major insurance claim? SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to, not what just some adjuster working for an insurance company thinks you should get. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884. Start the year strong at InShape Fitness. Play basketball, try yoga or Pilates, or work with their personal trainers to create a happy new you. And look for Sacktown Sports Team before the next Kings game to grab your free Kings InShape Rally Towel. Join today at InShape.com. We are in shape. You are ready.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, Sacktown Sports 1140. Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
One hour down, 3 to go. Great stuff so far, and it's going to continue here with the one, the only Sean Cunningham, reporter for Fox 40. Sean, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Oh, no sweat. How are you guys doing this fine, cold morning?
Good. It's been hot in here. I had some takes, Sean, and I know, you'll talk Giants, you'll talk Niners. Just real quick, I couldn't do all of the victory lapping from some Niners fans with the Sam Darnold thing. I don't know if you saw somebody, it was Brian Baldinger. He had said, would you think about Sam Darnold at $20 million less instead of Brock Purdy? And now people are just victory. It's just so much, Sean. Well, you're at home, and you guys are trying to say that Brock was one of those guys. There was no Sam Darnold comparison. Enough. Come on.
So much of prisoner of the moment syndrome just happens to so many fans out there. And look, I think the oftentimes you'll see the quiet minority tends to get louder on depending upon what's happening. So if you crowdsource through social media, it's the worst place to crowdsource because all of a sudden those people get noisy and it really isn't a true test of your fan base. So, I think that they just that they get a little bit noisier and people start to give it attention. And I think if you polled 49er fans, they'd probably laugh you in the face and say, if you were to say anything at the notion of Sam Darnold over Brock Purdy.
Yeah, well, that's me, Sean. I am that guy crowdsourcing because I can't help it, man. I get caught up in this stuff, and you just got to rock and roll from there. Well, speaking of rock and rolling, Sean, that's exactly what the Kings have been doing. For you, what's the most impressive part of this win streak?
The fact that it happened on the heels of a 6-game losing streak. I mean, you're talking like in 12, 13 days, something like that. They were able to absolutely erase it and get back to a winning streak and make themselves relevant again. That to me is quite impressive. It also kind of shows, in my mind, really just because I mean, you look at the numbers, man, like being second during the stretch in defensive rating and up to sixth is kind of you've been around eighth all season long in offensive rating, and you're able to score the basketball, but clearly some shots haven't fallen. But you're showing a give a damn. Like this team is showing a inspired play and basketball and motivation, and however that happens, and maybe a firing of Mike Brown is the ultimate wake up call, but I think the messaging, this isn't a guy that came in off the street. I mean, Doug Christie's been there. They know what he's about.
Yeah.
Seeing the players kind of buy into some things that could be considered corny, but I mean, you played baseball, I played baseball. I mean, you take momentum wherever you can get it. You take motivation wherever you can get it. And so I think that's what's happening right now. They're playing inspired again. They have a belief in one another. It takes sometimes a couple wins to do that. And look, you can't control who your opposition is, but it came at the expense of some teams that were kind of reeling at the time. So you find that slump buster wherever you can find it. And now you're turning that slump buster into actually meaningful games where you're out there beating the likes of the defending champions, who were albeit scuffling a little bit. They had lost, they were 500 in their last 10 coming into that game. But we know this team has had a knack for playing well on the road. Here they are looking for a sweep as they head into Milwaukee without Malik Monk.
Talking to Sean Cunningham, sports reporter for Fox 40. Speaking of what we've been seeing, Sean, and you just mentioned, the Niners and obviously the Giants. So that Giants 107 win season, I believe they had the most pinch hit home runs in franchise history, something insane like that. And I kept saying, I just don't think this is sustainable. This is not something that's you can lean on in the playoffs. And it wasn't. When you look at this 7-game winning streak for the Kings, how much of it seems to be sustainable to you? Because their numbers are great, but it's not like you have, Keegan dropped 50 this game, and now Malik dropped 60 this game. How much of it seems sustainable? They're not going to win every game, but how much of what they're doing seems sustainable to you?
I think there is sustainability with this group in terms of the effort they put forth, and especially on the defensive end. I mean, you've seen the likes of Keon Ellis really step up, especially when he's in the starting rotation. But even when he's not, he's still, what you're getting from him from a defensive standpoint. Trey Lyles is playing really well in this stretch. I mean, I don't give a damn what Trey Lyles does offensively, and oftentimes when he struggles to shoot the ball, sometimes the rebounding isn't there, sometimes the physicality isn't there. He's kept his foot on the gas, and that's been a good thing. I think he's also, put in some numbers off the bench offensively as well, which has been nice to see too. So I do think that's sustainable. But to your point, I think there is a moment where you say, you've had 3 of these games without De'Aaron Fox, and I think that provides opportunities for other guys. Sometimes that can be a little hard to scout because you're looking at when you're, getting ready to play the Kings, you're worried about really 2 guys, Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. And when you don't have one of those guys, it does change things a little bit. So you use that to your advantage. But I do feel that there is sustainability. I do feel there's also still a roster imbalance. I think playing small almost you kind of embrace what you're good at, right? Like, you struggle against teams that are these long, athletic, physical teams. But if you can be a team, okay, you're just driving it, you're just going to totally steer right into that. We're a smaller team, and we're going to go out there, and maybe we're not physical, but we can certainly be annoying and try to muck up a game. And who knows that better than Doug Christie? And then you can play with a little bit of, confidence or a little swagger. I think that can go a long way. So you look, they can't control who's going to walk through that door. That's only Monty McNair and this ownership group. So what they have in that room, and clearly they're running a 7-game win streak into Milwaukee. So I feel like they can only control what they can control, and they're doing that. So sustainability, yeah, I think there is moments of it, but to the broader scope of things, I think they still have the same problems that they had during the 6-game skid. I think the only thing that's different is they've been inspired. They're playing inspired basketball.
Yeah, it reminds me of this quote that a lot of fans did not like from Monty McNair when he was asked about the length and dealing with the Pelicans. And he said, well, we did get a couple guys, and he mentioned Jalen McDaniels, but then he also said, and these other teams have to, adapt to how we play and what we do. Under Mike Brown, especially after last season, and they weren't really shooting the basketball well, I think we all looked around thinking, well, what does that even mean? What are they adapting to? Now it feels like there is something that other teams have to adapt to, the physicality, and just we're not going to get pushed around. So I do think that there is more of that now. But with that being said, and speaking of Monty McNair, how are you looking at the trade landscape now? Is it still a couple first rounders and Trey Lyles, who, like you said, have been playing well, and Kevin Huerter for Cam Johnson? Are you more so now looking at around the edges and maybe a move? I mentioned a Larry Nance Jr. How are you looking at this trade situation as the deadline approaches, and how do you think the Kings front office is looking at it? Because they went from underachieving really bad to now, I think, overachieving. So what is it exactly that the Kings need?
Yeah, I don't know if the front office is looking at this stretch and saying, this changes our calculus in terms of what they want to achieve in the trade market. Certainly it takes two to tango, and sometimes three in the trade landscape of things. But you've known for quite some time at least who you're willing to part with. I think you have market research in terms of who you're not willing to part with, but what the market value is. And I think they're having absolute conversations about both the short-term and the long-term success of this team and where they see it going, and ultimately addressing some of the needs. I don't think that changes with a 7-game win streak. I think they absolutely go into it looking to make this roster better. That being said, I think a lot of teams were looking at, I think what changes in the landscape of things is not how the Kings look at the trade market, but how the league looks at the Kings. Because when you're in the midst of firing your head coach and you're down 6 in a 6-game losing streak, I think everybody looks at where you are in the standings and go, Sacramento is acting out of desperation. They're going to look for anything to either save their season, or they're just going to completely, fold up shop and it is what it is, and maybe try to hold on to that pick. I think now this streak does make the league look at the Kings a little bit differently and realize that, no, they're not going to be acting out of desperation. They're still going to do their due diligence on everything, but the market does change based off the success for Sacramento and maybe the way that they think that they might be able to bend them over a barrel. I don't think that's going to be the case right now. So you could make the argument, and I've heard plenty of people do this, that this should make the Kings even more desperate to make a move. But I think, look, the Kings have shown the ability that they can win. They've shown the ability that they can also be a very bad basketball team when it's not going well. So the one thing that they know that their bread is buttered on is on the offensive end. How do you sustain the defensive side of things? They're clearly needing size and physicality and some help for Domantas Sabonis in the worst way. But then there's the argument beyond that, do you still build around Fox? Do you still build around Sabonis and those questions? And I think some of those things get a little bit louder, more so towards the end of the season than they will right now. But I think what's going to be interesting, though, to wrap up the point there, is just how the league looks at Sacramento right at this moment.
Sean, one more for you, and you mentioned his name, so we'll just go right into it. We had Sam Amick on the station last week, and he mentioned feeling like the writing is on the wall unless the Kings make a deep playoff run as far as De'Aaron Fox is concerned. Are you hearing anything about the De'Aaron Fox thing? I know there was a team dinner I think I saw, and there was, De'Aaron couldn't make it, but his family was there, and he had the picture with Mike Brown last week, and obviously he hadn't played the last couple games they won. I was so glad that the Bulls did not beat the Kings without De'Aaron, or with De'Aaron Fox, because that would have been a bunch of fans saying we don't need De'Aaron Fox, and even though I get that anyway. But are you hearing anything about De'Aaron Fox, or has it gotten a little quiet and maybe just towards the end of the year, or once we get into the offseason, it'll heat back up again?
Yeah, I mean, not really. I mean, there's certainly a lot of internet chatter out there, and you've got speculation, and I know a lot of people throughout the league will talk about, wow, hey, Miami, hey, the Lakers could be landing spots for De'Aaron Fox if things don't go well in Sacramento. And certainly some of the comments that were made, not only on Draymond Green's podcast, but even into the media before that in terms about his own future in Sacramento, they're hard to ignore. But at the end of the day, like, he did what's in the best interest for himself. Everyone's going to expect him to do that, which is to go out there, see if you can make the All-NBA team and all of a sudden boost your max rating up to, like a super max. And I don't fault him for doing that. I think when you've been to someplace 8 years, you start to look around, and this team hasn't been out of the first round. I think he's just as culpable as the organization is in that, because he kind of controls his own destiny, and they've got him help. So, you'd like to see maybe a little bit more help, but now when you're firing the head coach, you're certainly maybe dipping a toe in what it looks like without De'Aaron Fox. But I don't hear anything in terms of the Kings' interest in trying to part with him. But you'll hear a lot of speculation over the next really 6 months to a year about what De'Aaron Fox's future is in Sacramento and where he goes and what team he fits best with. The Lakers one kind of it amuses me a little bit because the Sacramento Kings have never made a trade with the Lakers, and the one that they almost did famously fell through. And, the Buddy Hield, Kyle Kuzma package. So,
right.
And if you're just playing a GM on your couch, why would you trade De'Aaron Fox as your centerpiece within your division, let alone your conference? So that doesn't seem, if he ends up in the Lakers, that's as way of a free agent. I just don't see that happening. So, I don't think people really have much to worry about when it comes to De'Aaron Fox's future, at least for a little while. I mean, just get through this season, right?
That's right. Sean Cunningham, Fox 40 sports reporter. Sean, before we let you go, is there a world where the Kings don't make a move? Do you see that as a possibility?
Absolutely. I mean, they've done it. We've seen it before. Everyone thinks that they're going to make a move, and that's what it is. It takes two to tango, and to see guys, 2 years ago when they're, end up third in the West, and they're looking to maybe bolster their rotation like a baseball team would, gearing up for the postseason, going out and maybe finding the likes of we heard Mason Plumlee's name thrown out. You saw how many first or second round picks it took to get him. I think that they value some of those things a little bit more than maybe people think that they do. And just to go out to get a guy as a rental for 25 games and then see whatever happens in the postseason, sacrificing some of that success to see what that looks like. Or some of that future for that minimal amount of success, maybe, but I think there's moves that they'd like to make, but it takes two to tango. And if they can go out and find one of those moves, then absolutely, but be prepared for them not to make a move, because that's happened before.
Sean Cunningham, thank you so much. Go check out all of Sean's work, Fox Sports 40. Also, check out Sean on social media. Great follow. Always informed, all things Kings and Giants as well. Sean, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it, Allen. Take care, man. Thanks.
That was Sean Cunningham. On the other side, Malik Monk out tonight. How did the Kings get it done? Let's open back up the phone lines. How you feeling, Sacramento? 916-339-1140. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Tonight, Kings and Bucks. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports 1140.
California's largest sportsman's expo is back Thursday through Sunday at Cal Expo. Bring the family and discover your next adventure. Don't miss more than 100 free fishing, hunting, casting, kayaking, and dog training seminars. On the weekend, take the kids to a building filled with free activities. Your life outdoors at the International Sportsman's Expo, Thursday through Sunday at Cal Expo in Sacramento. More info at sportsexpos.com.
For a precision-crafted performance, the decision is easy. A new Acura from Acura of Stockton. Get the driving experience you've been waiting for in a new Acura. Get the best selection and customer service you deserve from Acura of Stockton. Shop in person or use our online express store at AcuraofStockton.com. Acura of Stockton will buy your trade, even if you don't buy from us. Don't settle for less than precision-crafted performance of a new Acura from Acura of Stockton and AcuraofStockton.com.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
Great stuff from Sean Cunningham as we break down all things Sacramento Kings. Huge game tonight, taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that has been pretty hit or miss this season. They're sitting in the 6th seed. They are, let's see here, their last 10, they're 5-5. They're 500 in their last 10. They lost their last game, so they're going to be looking to turn things back around. It's kind of a mess in the Eastern Conference. You have the Cavs with 5 losses, the Celtics with 11, the Knicks with 15, the Magic with 18, and then you have the Bucks sitting at 17, but they are in the 5 seed because they don't have as many wins. Certain teams, the Knicks have 26 wins and the Bucks have 20. So this stuff is all going to even out, but it's hard to call it right now. Essentially, the easy way to say it is it's the Cavs, the Celtics, and everybody else. There's a possibility for a 3 seed. There's a possibility for a 4 seed. Everything is still on the table in the East, probably besides the Celtics and the Bucks at 1 and 2. You're muted, Kyle.
Sorry, my mic was down because of Sean. It's Cavs, it's Celtics, and then the Knicks could make a series spicy.
Yes, that is for sure, as the Knicks are still learning. Look, and this is one thing we don't talk about that much, right? We don't talk about that transition period. Now, if you're the Timberwolves, there's a difference between a transition period based on your ceiling and a transition period just you probably not being that good, right? And what we're seeing with the Knicks is more of a transition period based on the ceiling. We think the Knicks are going to be really good. The Timberwolves transition period, I'm not really sure that's going to lead. Those aren't growing pains to lead to them being much better because I'm just not that high on Julius Randle.
I think the other point to it is Karl Anthony Towns is having a career year with a capital C in New York. So even if the Knicks are experiencing some growing pains and health issues, and I saw Mikal Bridges is going to play the most minutes of any NBA player since 2011 this season. Even with all of that, you're seeing the signs of improvement because Karl Anthony Towns in his first season outside of Minnesota is having the best season of his career.
Yeah. And look, he loved Minnesota, didn't want to go, but that's how the cookie crumbles. Minnesota didn't want to pay him all that money for the contract they signed him to. And now he's flourishing in New York and going to play some high level basketball. And the Timberwolves, I mean, that's a team where you talk about one note. They are just terribly one note out there. It's just Anthony Edwards is going to chuck. And we're just going to see what happens. I
mean, to your point about the fit thing maybe not working, could you see a world where Minnesota just lets Julius Randle walk in free agency at the end of this year?
Yes. And then they will try to retool in a different way. Where they go from here, I don't know. But I do think that Minnesota it's the kind of the Tyrese Halliburton thing in Indiana. I think, yes, it's Minnesota, but people like Anthony Edwards so much, they would be able to get somebody. I don't think they're as worried as other small markets.
Oh, I think you're right about that. It's just insane that they're in this position considering they beat the Nuggets, 6 months ago, 7 months ago in the playoffs. And now it's now we have to try and find another star who wants to play with Anthony Edwards. Just crazy that they're even in that situation at this point, which I understood why they traded Karl Anthony Towns. His contract is insane, but at the same time, they are super uncertain about what the future is going to be. And right now they're a play-in team. And to your point, I mean, who, other than maybe the Lakers, who are the Timberwolves going to catch? I don't think they're better than the Mavericks. I don't think they're better than the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Maybe the Rockets fall back down to earth, but if the Kings are this team that's going to leapfrog Minnesota with a win tonight and a Minnesota loss, then I don't know who Minnesota's going to jump to get into that top 6.
Right, because then you're looking at getting hot instead of just treading water. They're not even in a position where they can tread water. And you really haven't heard too much about Minnesota as far as trade targets. I mean, it's funny. We started the show talking about Brock Purdy, and you can make an argument if it is you decide not to pay Brock in that moment. Is Brock a Karl Anthony Towns to Sam Darnold's Julius Randle? They tried to save some cash, which they did, but it's costing them. Well, if the Kings are going to leapfrog tonight, they're going to have to do it without Malik Monk. We have an update on the Malik Monk injury that we will provide for you right after this. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Tonight, Kings and Bucks. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports 1140.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system? You were a bit surprised at how much it cost, or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, is coming back May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, Cole Wetzel, Nate Smith, and more. You'll enjoy food trucks, rock walls, and a mechanical bull, line dancing, and more. Single-day GA tickets start at $52 at CITPFest.com. Country in the Park, May 16th and 17th with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Find out more at CITPFest.com.
Happy New Year! Coach Christie here letting you know it's never been easier to drive into the new year in a new Kia. Take advantage of special low finance rates and zero down deals with approved credit right now at Folsom Lake Kia.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Monster Jam. Witness big air, two-wheel skills, backflips, and all-out racing. It's the only place to see the world's best drivers tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Megalodon, and more. It's big-time fun for the whole family. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. Coming to Golden One Center January 24th through 26th. Brought to you by BKT Tires. Tickets on sale now at monsterjam.com. This year, resolve to save on the all-new 2025 Silverado at Maida Chevy with $8,000 off MSRP after rebates on over 30 new half-ton Silverado LT and RST after rebates. And Maida Chevy has one of the largest selections of new 2025 Silverados in the Sacramento area. $8,000 off new 2025 Silverado at Maida Chevy. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers. Based on 2011 or newer Chevrolet.
When an overwhelmed injury victim calls Ashton or Price, we immediately remove their legal burden and introduce them to the very best medical care in the region. They focus on their health, and we handle all the rest. When they reach the end of their medical journey and are reunited with happiness and hope, we unleash our decades of legal experience to obtain maximum compensation. We are real, local, experienced litigators and snappy dressers too. Consultation's free, and there's never a fee until we win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Halfway through the Second hour of the show. Allen Stiles here, Sacktown Sports.
My swerve been not gonna woo, woo.
Is that from my Twitter?
My swerve been not gonna woo, woo.
I don't know. You tell me.
That's definitely from me.
My swerve been not gonna woo, woo.
When did you pull that?
My swerve been not gonna woo, woo.
After the Isaac Jones Muse account reposted it after the Kings won.
Isaac Jones Muse. Shout out to Isaac Jones Muse. And, LeVar, he's got the son now, $8 million up to $13 million.
That contract was insane, isn't it? And also, I know these record label deals are notoriously locking people in for years and years. He's going to have to drop multiple studio albums now, right?
Oh, yeah. And why not? Hey, why not? Why not? He doesn't have to. He was refusing. I remember watching or seeing a clip, refusing to go overseas. He just wanted to do the G League thing and then hopefully mess around. I think it was maybe 2 seasons ago where he had a look for a second. It was moving in that direction and then it didn't. But yeah, a lot of new opportunities. Now, real quick, we started the show with Brock Purdy. We're talking Kings now, but this is from my boy Sterling Bennett. We work together. He does really great work covering the Niners. And Sterling says Brock Purdy is projected to sign a 4-year, $238.9 million contract this offseason. This is per Spotrac. Purdy's total value would rank 9th, and his 59.7 AAV would rank 2nd, just behind Cowboys' Dak Prescott. So sorry to the TCs of the world. Brock Purdy, this is from Spotrac. He's according to Spotrac, he's projected to sign a deal that would net him nearly $60 million a year. So if we're having the Brock just likes to be on a tractor conversation and he's just a small town kid, that discount to me is $55 million. Based on this, that is the cornfield discount right there. $55 million a year instead of the projected 59.7.
I love that they chose 59.7 because it's $500,000 less than Dak Prescott. It's you're not quite going to get to Dak Prescott.
Right.
But how about $500,000 less?
There you go. So everybody that thinks that Brock is going to get 40 million, whatever it is, sorry, that's not going to be the case. Well, what will be the case tonight as the Kings take on the Milwaukee Bucks, who are 5-5 in their last 10 games, looking to get out of that fight that they're in with the other Eastern Conference teams not named the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Boston Celtics. The Kings are going to have to do it without Malik Monk. Malik Monk has been on an absolute tear during this 7-game winning streak and really all season long. I keep saying this, Malik Monk, that this might be the best contract in the NBA right now. It might be the best contract in the NBA right now. This is Malik Monk over his last 7 games. 18 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. 22 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists. 23 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. 26 points, 12 assists, 4 steals. 31 points, 6 assists, 6 3-pointers made. 20 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. 14 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists during the 7-game win streak. It's insane what Malik Monk is doing. And look, I would never sit here and have a conversation about, hey, if De'Aaron Fox doesn't want to be here, or we should proactively move De'Aaron and give Malik the keys. Because there are some days, there's some plays where you'll just see Malik doing something, you're thinking, man, Malik, what was the decision there? But there are other days where yes, there is a world if De'Aaron wants to leave. I would never proactively do it. That's my issue. But if De'Aaron did say, hey, it's just not working for me, I want to move forward. You know what's interesting, and we'll never know about the other offers that Malik had. I'm also curious how close De'Aaron and Malik Monk are, right? Because and I don't understand, and De'Aaron will be the first one to tell you this is a business. De'Aaron literally told Malik, go get the bag. Go get your money. And we all heard that when this was in the locker room towards the end of the season. So we know that De'Aaron understands this is a business, and hey, you get to play with your college buddy for however many years after you're done with school. There's ways to look at it and just be more thankful that it happened versus, oh man, I'm upset that it's ending. But with that being said, wouldn't it be interesting? And I haven't really heard anybody talk about this, but how interesting of a situation is it where Malik Monk, we believe, took somewhat of a discount to stay in Sacramento, and then right after that, De'Aaron Fox to say, hey, I actually might be gone. We don't know how much money Malik left on the table. And at the time, Malik wasn't even starting. So we don't know how much Malik left on the table, but I understand it's a business. But if I'm Malik Monk, is there any part of you that's thinking, unless, like I said, maybe they're not as close as we think, but is there, and I understand you can separate, but is there any part of you, if you're Malik Monk, thinking, so I turned down how many million to stay in Sacramento, and De'Aaron, you're about to bounce, or there's a conversation about you leaving? That makes me feel like maybe this wasn't about playing with De'Aaron as maybe some of us may have thought. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I know legal tampering exists, but Malik signed his extension before he ever got to June 30th as well. Like he signed it, I think it was the 20th or the 21st or something like that, but he signed that long-term extension without knowing for certain if a team was going to offer him more than the $78 million the Kings were max allowed to offer him. Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting point. I know Sabonis took slightly less on his contract than a max just to create space for Malik to get that contract extension. I joked last year and probably still now that Malik owes Domas a few nice dinners off of that contract, maybe a very nice Christmas gift based on the money that Domas left on the table for Malik. But at the same time, I think the Kings it's not a money thing with De'Aaron Fox, right? They know where the max is. They know what the super max would be if he gets there. It's just looking at it and saying, the issue is not the money. If they're offering him the maximum he's allowed to get, and De'Aaron would have to leave money on the table to leave somewhere else, I think that would just be a what's best for De'Aaron's situation, which, like you talked about a second ago, that was the same sentiment De'Aaron was offering Malik Monk when his free agency came up.
Yeah, I'm reading some of the text coming through here in the SAC chat. You know, Aaron says that's why De'Aaron told Malik to get his bag, because he was planning to do that himself. But that's what's interesting. If we follow the cookie crumbs of what De'Aaron has been saying, what did De'Aaron say on the Draymond Green podcast? He said it's not actually really about the money. If De'Aaron gets the Supermax, if he gets all NBA, I can guarantee you this: De'Aaron Fox is not turning down $345 million. That is the easiest way to get De'Aaron Fox to stay, is to get all NBA. This whole thing has always gotten squirrely when the conversation, and now you have a guy like Luka who is only a game or two away from no longer being able to get.
Oh yeah, he's not getting it.
He's not getting it. So it's definitely possible that De'Aaron sneaks in there. And I do, as much as De'Aaron says it's not about the money, and we compared the difference in contracts. And yes, to people like us, and that's why it's always funny to me when people play the lotto when it's 1 billion, as if you're sticking your nose up to when it's 150 million, right? Oh, I'll play the lottery today because it's $1 billion, but I'm not wasting those $5 on that little 150 million. I can do without taking a chance on that. Now, granted, I know you don't want to play the lottery too often, but when you look at De'Aaron, I know what he said about the money. I understand that. What I've always taken from that is, if De'Aaron doesn't get the Supermax, the difference between what the Kings can offer him and what could be offered somewhere else, De'Aaron is saying, whatever that is, 50, whatever, that's not that big of a deal to him. But if De'Aaron is eligible to get the Supermax, and we're talking, 72, 100, whatever it is, million more, there is no way that De'Aaron Fox is turning down that money.
Because De'Aaron Fox getting the Supermax extension would kind of be a technicality, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we know De'Aaron Fox is maybe going to make the All-Star team in the West this year. if he makes All-NBA, it's got to be third-team All-NBA because he's not going to be better than Brunson. He's not going to be ahead of Shea. He's not going to be ahead of Steph, guys like that. So
doesn't matter. But yes, the Steph thing, we don't know. But he'll be in the conversation.
Sure, but he would get it on a technicality because Luka can't make All-NBA or someone else who's a clear-cut starter in the All-Star game, like Donovan Mitchell, may not get to 65 games or something. So even if they get to that All-NBA number, it's still going to be like the Kings are paying top of the league money to a guy who's only been an All-Star once or twice, and they hope that he stays in Sacramento. But if it's that $100 million, that changes the entire calculus of how they build around De'Aaron Fox for the next 5 years.
Yeah, and some of the guys that have left the chat, like I said, Steph, I don't see that happening, and that team stinks right now. I'd have to double check on Tyrese Halliburton. I know he started out pretty cold, but that's 3 guys right there and obviously the All-NBA is no longer positional, but you have Steph, who is essentially left the chat unless he gets really, really hot. You have Tyrese Halliburton, who it's close, and you have Luka now, who is not in that conversation. So it's really about, okay, so now you have De'Aaron Fox, trying to be in this position. You got Brunson, you got Shea, and again, it's not positional anymore. But
the other one is on pace. LaMelo Ball would be below the threshold, but we'll see if he gets there. He's missed a lot of games.
So it's very possible, and I cannot see De'Aaron Fox turning down a Supermax. He wants to win so much, and I'm not saying he doesn't want to win. Don't get me wrong. But I think there are levels to how much you want to win. I mean, he's got kids. His kid's going to have kids. It's California. We know that. So I think the number one way for this to all be essentially a waste of time or a waste of all of our breath is if De'Aaron Fox gets the Supermax. And I do think it is definitely possible. You got to win. If they keep doing this and De'Aaron stays at that 27 points per game and 5 to 6 assists, and they're a 5 seed, and you don't have some of these guys like I just mentioned in Luka and Steph, I think it is very, very possible. All right, Kyle's giving me the Dame Lillard. Hopefully we don't see the Dame Lillard tonight. But on the other side, Brendan Nunez has a story about the Kings' rotational changes, and it's from something that we played yesterday, so we wanted to bring it back up. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
Tonight, Kings and Bucks. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports 1140.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. Call 800-885-3663. That's 800-885-3663. 800-885-3663.
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like discovering a refund tree has grown in your backyard.
I'm the refund tree.
Sawing off its branches.
Hey.
Feeding them through a wood chipper.
My branches! My beautiful branches!
And dancing in its refund rain. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair. Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-881-4242. 800-881-4242.
Thunder, feel the thunder. It ignites something inside of you. Lightning and the thunder. Sets alight an elevated state of being. Days are pure exhilaration. And the nights, they're simply electric. See it, hear it, feel it. Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Feel the thunder.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
There's no better time than now to get yourself into a brand new Jeep because it's Jeep Adventure Days at Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, offering the best deals in town and a selection other dealers are jealous of. Stop on by. They're just off of Business 80 across from Hagen Oaks Golf Complex. Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Well. The last time the Kings were in Milwaukee, it didn't go so well. Did not go so well. We're about to get into a couple clips from that. Brendan Nunez was listening to the show. I also saw Brendan in the Sack Chat earlier today on YouTube. Brendan Nunez was listening to the show and wrote a really good article on sacktownsports.com about the rotational differences under Doug Christie. Here are some of the biggest changes that we've mentioned. Kevin Huerter's first 28 games, he was averaging 25.2 minutes per game. During the 7-game win streak, he is averaging 16.6 minutes per game. Keon Ellis, the first 30 games, averaging 19.7 minutes per game. During the 7-game win streak, 29.6 minutes per game. And obviously, you have De'Aaron Fox, who was out, Keegan Murray, who was out. So it's not a direct just Keon playing more, but that is definitely some of it. So some of the big changes that we've seen, we're going to see more of Keon tonight with Malik Monk out and a version of a starting lineup. We assume that a lot of people were really excited to see, even with Malik back in the starting lineup. I know Frankie Cardicelli during the roundtable. We're trying to organize roundtable, by the way, for this week. Frankie's on high alert. We're going to try to sneak him in tomorrow. We will keep you in the loop there. But Frankie Cardicelli and Brandon Nunez, to a lesser degree, wanted to have conversations about maybe starting Keon Ellis instead of Malik Monk. Well, we will see a version of that today. Obviously, Malik won't be playing, period, out with that groin injury. But we will see a version of that tonight. So, Kyle, All right, let's get this over with. First, let's play what happened with Malik Monk, and then we'll play what happened with Dame Lillard. This is what happened the last time the Kings were in Milwaukee.
The Kings leading by 4. Monk ready now for the second one, wasting no time, and he missed them both. Milwaukee fans rejoicing. Here comes Adetokounmpo, a drive and a kick. Corner 3, Brook Lopez. He's got the triple. It's a 1-point game. 11 and a half seconds to go. Kings take timeout.
So then if you'll remember, they foul again. Fox hits one free throw, misses the second, and then...
Here's the first one on the way from De'Aaron. He rims it out, and it is no good. Malik Monk missing 2 free throws. Fox missing 1 here in overtime. Kings leading by a precarious 1. 5.2 seconds to go. No timeouts available for the Bucks. Here's Fox' second one. He's got it. It's a 2-point lead, 142 to 140. And now, will the Bucks go for the 3 in the win? Will they go for 2? Inbounds to Brooks. Gives to Damian Lillard. Breaks by Fox. He launches a straightaway deep 3. He scores it at the buzzer, and the winning streak for Milwaukee continues. It's game time at 5-serve Forum. A heartbreaking setback for the Kings. 143-142 in favor of Milwaukee.
Wow. And I could probably find the Malik Monk tweet, but basically said, we got to be better, or I'll be better because of those missed free throws. And that was a game. I mean, they needed every game last season, but that was a game. It was that one. It was somewhere around the same time. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle. There was the implosion in Phoenix, and there was this Milwaukee game. I believe they were around the same time. There was 2 bad losses.
I know the Phoenix one was a little later, but I actually didn't realize this until today, that has so much for NBA scheduling creativity. They played literally on January 14th last year in Milwaukee. So 1 year ago today, that was the Damian Lillard game winner. And the reason I know that is because that was the day that Mike Brown brought out the laptop to the post-game podium. Which,
that's right.
To this day is one of the funniest things a coach has ever done. I was in the studio working the game when that happened. So funny, so excellent. But looking it up, the Phoenix game was, I believe it was the next game, actually. I think you nailed it. The very next game was the giant blown lead against Phoenix.
And that was
January 16th. So it was back-to-back games. You're right. The Milwaukee game and the Phoenix game were back-to-back.
So those were the types of games where, and it's funny talking about riding for your guys. I believe in that moment because there was a foul and Mike Brown ended up getting fined, or maybe he got ejected. That's why he ended up showing the computer, or he got a tech, probably something like that. And he said, this is why I freaked out, because this is what was missed. And then he got fined for that. And in those moments, you feel like that's a guy riding for his guys in that moment. So, getting back to the Chandler Parsons thing, when did this stuff just flip? What's interesting to me is this season when it turned into a lot more of, hey, I'm telling them what to do, but they're not listening to me, right? A bigger separation. And I don't think Doug has ever meant it as a slight, but you do hear a couple times, I think this was when he was on with the guys yesterday morning, where he'll say, I'm the same as everybody else. Yes, I'm the coach, they're players, but we're all on the same level. And that, if you read the tea leaves, I don't think Doug is saying it as a slight to Mike Brown, but there was clearly more of a delineation in whatever. Maybe that's the practice stuff where Malik is saying, hey, we went over on practice. We're not supposed to be practicing that long. And it's maybe it's more old school, right? Like my parents, they would sit there, just the classic, hey, you said that you couldn't do stuff like that. Or, hey, you said I can't do stuff like that. Well, I'm the parent. You're not. So I can do it. You're not. And some of these now new age parents, they want to explain more. When I was growing up, there were no explanation. The explanation was, I'm your dad. right? Or I'm your mom, or that's what it is. Nowadays, some of these parents these days, they'll explain more because they've learned that, hey, I didn't really like when my parents did that. And just because it was like that doesn't mean it still has to be done like that. So maybe there's a little bit of that with Doug Christie and Mike Brown being possibly more traditional, more old school. But yeah, that was a scene where you felt like Mike was trying to ride for his guys, and it cost him as far as his wallet was concerned. So, I mean, you think about last year, just getting punched, the Kings fans, over and over again, coming off a Beam Team season. The Dame time 3, and then the complete implosion in Phoenix. It was rough sledding.
Oh, and then the next one was when they came back to Golden One Center, and even though he didn't play, Tyrese Halliburton was hitting the wrestling moves.
And they lost. Wait, so they went from Bucks Dame time to the implosion in Phoenix to losing to the Pacers with no Tyrese Halliburton.
Yes, you are correct. That was all back to back to back in a 3-game stretch last season. And if I'm looking this up, then they played the Hawks, which I believe they won that game. But still, it was a 3-game back to. Oh, and they lost to Philadelphia right before that too, with I believe no
Embiid.
Yeah, that was the game they lost to Philly with no Joel Embiid. So they had that loss, the Bucks loss, the Suns loss, and the Indiana loss back to back to back to back.
They were in a really weird spot because, on paper, it felt like, hey, even though the Kings wanted to be back in the playoffs, they were a 9 seed, they were in the play-in, but people like us that follow the team more than just the national media, there were so many bad losses that you had to extend him, but I don't think we were all incredibly surprised when Vivek was thinking, there's some really bad losses here, and we can't have that happen again. And then this season started, and they started on that BS again.
But the good vibes picked up because you know what happened right after that? That game, Harrison Barnes had 37 points in Golden State.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And all was back right in the world. Well, the Kings make some big moves this season in the offseason, and then once the season started, as DeMar DeRozan joined the crew. Let's talk about DeMar DeRozan and his mid-ranges. How can the Kings make sure that the mid-range merchant doesn't affect them negatively? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Tonight, Kings and Bucks. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.
Intercepted by Fred Warner.
Faithful to the Bay.
Fred gets up and runs back the other way, 30.
Don't miss the excitement of 49ers game day. Secure your spot at Levi's Stadium for the 2025 season.
20, one block and he's in.
Season tickets are available now. Inventory is limited, so to speak with a representative, call 415-GO-49ers.
Touchdown!
That's 415-GO-49ers.
San Francisco! For a precision-crafted performance, the decision is easy. A new Acura from Acura of Stockton. Get the driving experience you've been waiting for in a new Acura. Get the best selection and customer service you deserve from Acura of Stockton. Shop in person or use our online express store at AcuraofStockton.com. Acura of Stockton will buy your trade, even if you don't buy from us. Don't settle for less than precision-crafted performance of a new Acura from Acura of Stockton and AcuraofStockton.com.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet.
Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Speeds vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Hey, it's Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, and the regular season is over, but the high hand bonuses, those are not. $500 per primetime football game, whether it's weekend, Monday night, whatever it may be. And those bonuses available until the season ends, including the big game on February 9th. Capital Casino, 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com. Please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tool can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacramento's official home of the 49ers.
San Francisco.
Sacktown Sports, 1140. Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
$12 o'clock on the dot on a Tapatio Tuesday. And we are discussing everything the Kings can do to get a W tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. There will be no Malik Monk out with groin soreness. And I was listening this morning, and Carmichael Dave was a bit worried that DeMar DeRozan may feel like he's got to take over and take matters into his own hands to make up for Malik, because Malik's numbers have just been ridiculous during this winning streak. But at the same time, you are going to need something from somebody else. And obviously you have De'Aaron Fox, who will be back in the fold, but the same thing as far as De'Aaron Fox is concerned, you just want this thing to continue to look like a well-oiled machine and not look clunky. So we're back to B-ball index, and Kyle actually found this one. And it's crazy because this really is the MIDI committee as far as the Sacramento Kings, because there is a outlier for mid-range field goal attempts per 75. There's everybody else, and then there is DeMar DeRozan sitting at 12.5 mid-range field goal attempts per 75. But funny enough, with DeMar DeRozan at 12.5, you still have De'Aaron Fox at 10, which is still a lot.
Yeah,
that's still a lot.
If my math is correct, DeMar DeRozan is number one by a smoking gun. Like, DeMar DeRozan is at 12.5% of his shots. Or sorry, not 12.5, it's per 75. So if my math is correct, that's about 20% of DeMar DeRozan's shots come from the mid-range, and nobody else is within 5 of DeMar DeRozan. That's crazy. DeMar DeRozan is so far ahead of the pack. There's only 6 players in the entire league that are shooting 10 or more mid-range attempts per 75 attempts. It's DeMar DeRozan, Joel Embiid, Brandon Ingram, Kevin Durant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and De'Aaron Fox. Like those are the people you think of being the best mid-range shooters in the NBA, other than Joel Embiid, who takes a lot of mid-range jumpers, but is not the best at making mid-range jumpers. But Durant, Brandon Ingram, DeRozan, SGA, like those are the people you think of as the quintessential mid-range shooters. And it's crazy that the Kings have 2 on their team, and both of them are top 6 in the league in mid-range.
Well, I think the bigger conversation is the amount of mid-range shots. To me, that doesn't necessarily bother me. A lot of times it's just been, because if it's a good shot, it's a good shot. Are you getting to whatever you're trying to get into quickly? And Doug Christie talked about how some of their actions weren't even actions, right? You're just kind of playing. Sometimes it looks like they're playing Ring Around the Rosie out there, and they're not necessarily moving the basketball in a way that makes any sense. DeMar DeRozan, he can get to his mid-ranges, and I don't have a problem with the mid-ranges when he makes his decisions quickly. It's when things start to slog, when other guys aren't touching the basketball and he's not distributing. I know Whitey and Draper, they said, 2 games ago, DeMar DeRozan had 9 assists. I mean, he's definitely an underrated passer, and that opens up things for everybody. But those times where they would run their offense, run their actions that weren't actually actions for about, 17 to 20 seconds. And then it ends up back in the hands of DeMar DeRozan, and he just dribbles the air out of the basketball and then does a bunch of pump fakes. Yeah, those aren't the mid-range. Those are the mid-ranges from the prior Kings team. That's not what we've been seeing.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing when we're saying DeMar DeRozan is first by a landslide in mid-range jumpers and De'Aaron Fox is 6. Because if we then go to the y-axis of this graph, if I were to rank the best mid-range shooters in the NBA, you know who else is going to be in the top 6? De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan. Number 1 is Durant. Number 2 is Giannis. 3 is SGA. 4, his face is covered. I can't tell who that is. 5 is Brandon Ingram. 6 is De'Aaron Fox. 7 is DeMar DeRozan, right? So they're both top 7 in making mid-range jumpers and ability at mid-range jumpers, even though they're taking a lot of them.
Well, and the thing is, if you read off those names, and everyone besides Brandon Ingram will be a part of the All-Star conversation and will be a part of the All-NBA conversation. So if you are efficient in what you're doing, the mid-range is nowhere near dead. These guys that you're naming off, these are dudes that are looked at as MVP candidates and all NBA All-Star candidates. So it's not like you named off. If it was a bunch of Brandon Ingrams, no disrespect, but if it was a bunch of Brandon Ingrams and DeMar DeRozan and De'Aaron Fox, that'd be a little bit different. But the mid-range is just something that not a lot of people are working on. I think when you utilize it the right way, it's nowhere near dead.
By the way, I just figured out whose face is covered on here, who's an excellent mid-range shooter. It's Jaren Jackson Jr., who, by the way, is also an all-star candidate this year.
There you go.
To your point, these are great mid-range shooters that are also taking a lot of mid-ranges. The only exception is Joel Embiid takes a lot and misses a lot, and Giannis is a great mid-range shooter but doesn't shoot a lot of mid-range jumpers, which is understandable because Giannis's best move is the get downhill, get to the rim.
What do they call him? Run and dunk man. Run and dunk man.
Yeah.
That's what they call
the cheat code.
That's right. 916-339-1140. Let's open up the phone lines here. How you feeling about the Sacramento Kings taking on the Milwaukee Bucks? Javi wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Javi? What you got for us?
Hey, yesterday, just wanted to apologize. Sorry, I had the background noise, but it wasn't that weird. It's just
oh no, you're good.
Banging on the door.
You're good.
Yeah,
you're good.
Yeah, some little background noise. So my apologies. But so I just really wanted to touch base again because you guys had made it out to be yesterday because of what happened with the Kuzma proposition that he had at that price or Herter, Colby Jones, the prospect, whatever, McLaughlin as filler in the pick. I feel like, to second your point, sir, they've waited too long. So I don't see how, even, the gentleman answers the phone, and he was actually, great point. He said, wait as close to the deadline as possible. And now it's like they've waited so long and/or who's giving them what they want. We don't even need him to be the starting power forward and/or small forward. I mean, he's shooting 25.3% from the three-point line, abysmal. He's still shooting 43% from the field, but he's solid in length. He's averaging, overall just under 15, 14.5 with, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He has, no blocking ability at this time, a little more than half a steal. But, I mean, with his descending contract, I think he's a great option as a bench forward next to Lyles.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Javi. I think we might have lost you. Well, here's the thing. That's less about what I think. It's more about what the Wizards think. I don't know what the Wizards' plan is, number one, and I don't know what type of value they're putting on Kuzma. I think we both agree that Kuzma last season is not the same Kuzma this season as far as what his value is, which is why I keep saying I do think that Cam Johnson will get moved because the Nets don't want the same thing to happen to Cam Johnson that happened with the Wizards and Kyle Kuzma. If you can get him for that, I'm with it. And I know it's a descending contract. It is interesting bringing Kuzma off the bench if the Kings were able to do it, because obviously that means that you're keeping, based on your deal, you'd be keeping a lot of your guys, and as far as the starters are concerned. So that to me begs the question as far as what Kyle Kuzma wants. Does Kyle Kuzma, who's played in LA and now he's in DC, I know DC's weird as far as what type of market it is. We know that they've stunk, but does Kyle Kuzma necessarily have a decision, right? Or does he have any power here? I don't think there's a no trade clause, but I'll have to double check. But how happy with Kyle Kuzma? There isn't. Thank you, Kyle. How happy, if we're talking about the vibes, right? I don't really know enough about Kyle Kuzma. I see him pop up on Twitter and, he'll talk about politics or whatever it is. And he's got his own thoughts. We get all that. But does Kyle Kuzma, who's played in LA and to a lesser degree DC, want to come and ride pine and come off the bench? Does he feel like I don't even think he's 30 yet. How happy would Kyle Kuzma be as we talk about the locker room and how important the locker room is? How happy would Kyle Kuzma be coming off the bench? Obviously, he doesn't have a choice if that's what happens, but I do think all of that matters because of how good the vibes are right now. But if this is a Kyle Kuzma who's motivated and wants to maybe use it as a, hey, I'll do whatever it takes, I just want to win basketball games, I'm with it. I just don't know what type of Kyle Kuzma you're going to get in that situation. So I hear you on that one. This popped up, and I don't know why we have to do this, but the 916 on the text line says, let's please stop talking about DeMar and mid-range. You just read Fox, right? Fox over dribbles and turns the ball over more than DeRozan. What is the obsession with comparing? I don't know what it is about comparing. I mean, we talked about who you can and can't, I guess, be tough on. And I've always said it's so interesting to me, Kings fans, who I don't really know where De'Aaron Fox lies, because he's one of the only stars, I feel like, in the league where especially in a small market, where the fan base doesn't really ride for him. And I'm not just going to use the 916 to make every Kings fan out to feel the same way, but it is interesting to me. I just feel like if you give me another star name, Kyle, give me another star name from a smaller market, and I feel like whoever that name is, and obviously I live here, I don't live there, but I just feel like Kings fans don't ride for De'Aaron Fox the same way other small markets ride for their star.
Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, you're not talking. I just can't see Detroit saying anything negative about Cade Cunningham right now.
I mean, right now, yeah, I get right now.
Well, you can use an older star there. Use an older star there.
In a small market.
In a small market.
Let me think.
Like Dame Lillard in his heyday, right where De'Aaron is in his career. I know that they had a little bit more playoff success, but I just don't feel. I feel like Portland would just, every Portland fan just, hey, Dame's our guy. You don't talk about Dame like that.
But I think Dame never gave the doubt that he wasn't their guy.
But I was hearing it before. I was hearing this stuff about De'Aaron before. And honestly, maybe it's a Tyrese Halliburton trade. I don't know.
Or maybe it's because, and this is no slight to De'Aaron Fox, De'Aaron Fox is not the player that Damian Lillard is.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's that simple. So I will say this, though, even if he's not, and this is the take I had a couple of weeks ago, even if he's not, you're willing to take that chance. I'm not willing to. You're willing to take that chance because of what you've seen from Malik Monk. You're willing to take that chance because what you've seen from Devin Carter in 4 games. It's just interesting to me that, especially with this texter specifically saying DeMar DeRozan, so you're already willing to ride for DeMar DeRozan, who has given you nothing so far, more than De'Aaron Fox. And I know it's just one playoff series, but it's one more than they had before De'Aaron Fox. So interesting stuff. And, however this ends for De'Aaron, there's going to be some people that let's hope it works out correctly for the Kings, because if it doesn't, you might be eating your words a little bit. Speaking of making decisions for the organization, Draymond Green and Steph are riding for the Warriors, even if it means that nobody cares what they're doing and they are irrelevant. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Tonight, Kings and Bucks. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs. You sound very calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
I don't feel so good.
You do feel hot. Dayquil Kids will take care of that fever.
What about my cough?
Dayquil Kids has that covered.
Will it make my throat feel better?
Yes, that too.
But will it taste good?
Yep, Dayquil Kids comes in your favorite flavor.
Purple?
Well, yes, it's great.
Try new Dayquil Kids Plus Fever, the daytime coughing, aching, sore throat fever just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6+. Use as directed.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
What do you do when it comes to the future of your organization? We've had conversations about De'Aaron Fox. Whether or not he wants to stay or not, that remains to be seen. And how should an organization, how should a fan base react in these situations? 916 on the text line says, I'm not hating on Fox, the same person that had mentioned De'Aaron Fox's turnovers when we were talking about DeMar. I'm not hating on Fox. I'm saying DeMar is doing fine. I don't like putting all things on one guy. I do also question Halliburton trade and hearing they couldn't play together. We need to stop idolizing one player. Yeah, I mean, with Malik Monk out, there's probably going to be more DeRozan. So we're just breaking down what that could look like. This team, they're on a winning streak right now, and I think that's what's funny. We do this thing where when the team you root for isn't winning, there's a big problem and everybody's got to solve blah, 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 blah. So, I'm sorry, I can't come on here. It's not good radio. Okay. If I come on here and kumbaya for 4 hours straight because they're on a 7-game winning streak when they're still the 9 seed, you deserve better than that. You deserve better than that. We're breaking down what we've seen from this team in the past.
To the point about the DeRozan conversation, doesn't it feel like the word mid-range kind of has like a dirty connotation now because everyone's obsessing over mid-ranges versus three-pointers, and mid-ranges don't have as much value, but people hate that everyone's just chucking threes at this point. Like, when we went through the numbers, it was just to point out the fact that DeMar DeRozan is number 1 in mid-range shot attempts in the league, but is also 7th in field goal percentage on mid-range jumpers, or if it, it takes into account how far shots are. He's the 7th best mid-range shooter in the NBA. That's fine. If you're one of the best mid-range players in the NBA, you should be taking that many shots. Case in point, De'Aaron Fox is 6th in mid-range attempts and 6th in mid-range ability this year. So that's about what you would expect. And I don't feel like that has to have a negative connotation to it.
No, it's more about how he was getting to mid-range shots, right? It's not about the fact that he's taking mid-range shots. It's the dribble. Everybody else is just standing around, and then you look up, and Keegan Murray is 0 for 4, 0 for 5, and then I come on the radio, and I say, Keegan Murray, what happened to his three-point range, or Kevin Huerter, what happened to this, or whoever, what happened to that, and you start looking at maybe it's the fact that they're not getting their touches the same way they've gotten their touches in the past. So when you look at DeMar DeRozan and the fact that he does still have the highest amount of mid-ranges, what's the difference between the beginning, the Mike Brown mid-ranges and the Doug Christie mid-ranges? The difference is, to me, everything is happening faster. They're playing with a purpose. To Doug Christie's point, it just doesn't really seem like all of our actions make a ton of sense. Sometimes we're just getting into an action to say we did it. And you know what? That's how it looked. Right? How many times were you watching the Kings and it just looked like they were literally going through the motions? Okay, let's run our offense. We're going to ring around the rosy. We're going to do a DHO, and then we're going to hand it off, and hopefully somebody gets an open shot. Hopefully we hit it. They're doing everything with a purpose now. That is one thing that I have been noticing. They're doing things with a purpose. DeMar DeRozan, part of it. He is doing something with a purpose. Sometimes he'll get into the pump fake because he has to, but everything is happening with a purpose.
One of the most revealing comments of the entire season, and God, I've sifted through hundreds of hours of sounds over this season so far, but one of the most telling ones was Malik Monk talking about teams adjusting to the DHOs, right? The DHOs worked great, and they were a staple of everything they were doing in 2023. And then last year, once people had film on the Kings that they could break down, they were defending against the DHOs, and it became predictable. And so much talk over the summer was Sabonis and DeRozan were going to be working on DHOs and things like that, but they ultimately bailed from that pretty much when DeRozan got hurt. But eventually they figured out the offense runs better when it's more flow-based, and Sabonis is playing out on the perimeter more because Sabonis is taking more three-pointers than ever before, and that spreads out that offense and allows for everything else. So that was really revealing, is that even they recognized what they were doing in the past, A, wasn't going to work because teams had adjusted, but B, wasn't going to work as well because of the DeMar DeRozan element to what they were doing on offense.
916-339-1140. Let's get to Ashley, who wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Ashley? What you got for us?
Not a whole lot, but as far as what you guys were just talking about, as far as the differences between Mike Brown mid-ranges and Doug Christie's mid-ranges, I do think that there is an element of it being quicker, like you were mentioning, Allen. However, one thing I do want to mention is one thing that I think that Doug Christie's really doing that Mike Brown struggled with a little bit, that's really making a difference, is the unity in the team. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but I believe there was this coach, I forgot his name, I think it was John Woody, though, and he was a coach for Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for back when they were in college. And one thing that he did was he taught everyone how to tie their shoes and put them on the right way, and their socks and all that. And everyone did it the same way, and they had that buy-in on something as simple as putting on your shoes and your socks the same way. And it brought a level of camaraderie to the team because they all were playing for the same goal. And it started with just something as simple as putting on your socks and shoes the right way.
Yeah, That's a great point, Ashley. And right now, there are some things that we can quantify, and there's other things that we can't with Doug Christie. And it is still a pretty small sample size, right? Again, nobody wants the Kings to lose, but we will know more about this team when that does happen. We're not even at the 10-game mark yet. 7 really good games from the Kings. They've won in a bunch of different ways. So it is kind of hard to put your finger on it. There are clearly things that they've been doing, and that's why we talked to Sean Cunningham. You can go check that out on YouTube or the Sacktown Sports app to see what is sustainable that the Kings are doing and what seems to not necessarily be sustainable. All right, a little bit of organization talk when we return. Draymond and Steph are saying all the right things. Is this how stars should treat their organizations, or is this a bit of a cop-out? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Tonight, Kings and Bucks. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports 1140.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. Welcome to your Tuesday. Heading through the afternoon, plenty of sunshine, lighter winds today, and highs will peak in the low 60s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
Don't miss the excitement of 49ers Game Day by securing your 2025 season tickets now. Inventory is limited, so speak with a representative. Dial 415-GO-NINERS and reserve your seats. That's 415-GO-NINERS.
My good friends over at Jiffy Lube have an amazing New Year oil change special going on right now for the month of January. Get a full synthetic oil change starting at just $76.99 with a $33 off coupon online. That's right, starting at just $76.99 for a full synthetic motor oil change with a $33 off online coupon from JiffyLube.com today. Offer valid for up to 5 quarts of premium motor oil, specialty vehicles, and diesel extra. Happy New Year from Jiffy Lube.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find: happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Why choose Gonzalez Law Offices? Well, for criminal defense, expungements, sexual harassment, wrongful termination. The best thing you can do is to retain legal representation from an experienced defense attorney in Sacramento who helps you obtain the best possible results. At Gonzalez Law Offices, attorney Jonathan Gonzalez has remained undefeated from 2016 through 2019 for jury trials, and this year will be no exception. Contact him at 916-304-9187 or at saclegaldefense.com.
Hi, this is Greg Papa. Disasters hit every day. If your home, business, or building has suffered from any disaster, SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to and letting your focus be on what's most important, your family or your business. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
It's a myth to think you don't play golf well enough to get fitted for golf clubs. The professionals at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio would argue that playing the game with golf clubs properly fitted to your body and swing characteristics is the best way to improve your game and have more fun on the golf course. With a professional staff of fitters, all the major brands of equipment, and cutting-edge technology featuring TrackMan, the indoor-outdoor Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio is worth a look. See for yourself. Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway. Schedule your fitting at 916-808-2531. 808-2531.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave coming to you from my good friends at American Energy. Look, it's already cold outside. It's only going to get colder. American Energy wants to help you stay warm and make sure your system is operating safely. So right now is the time to take advantage of the $49 tune-up inspection. Normally, $119, $49 right now, and that includes a full safety and duct inspection. And check it out. If your system's over 10 years old, and I'll bet it is, the tune-up, yeah, it's free. It's free from a company that's been in business since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ Better Business Bureau. Check their Yelp, check their Google reviews. Don't take my word for it. Give them a call right now. $50 off your first recommended repair. If you need a new furnace, half off the price of a new unit. Check them out at theaeway.com and tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, is coming back May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, Cole Wetzel, Nate Smith, and more. You'll enjoy food trucks, rock walls, and a mechanical bull, line dancing, and more. Single-day GA tickets start at $52 at CITPFest.com. Country in the Park, May 16th and 17th with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Find out more at CITPFest.com.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland, and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Having a De'Aaron Fox conversation, and, you know, a lot of people have interesting thoughts. A lot of 530 texts today. Shout out to the 530. I'm looking at 3, maybe 4 different 530 texts.
Love that. Davis Woodland, shout out.
Shout out. So this 530 says, here's a problem with Fox. He's not an elite player. The only thing he is elite at is speed. Fans want him to be a star, but he's really not. He's definitely a star. Now, depending on how you measure quote unquote star, I would definitely call De'Aaron Fox a star, but I would call a Shea or a Luka, I would call them superstars, right? The De'Aarons, the Devin Bookers, the Trae Youngs, if you will, those guys are stars to me. They're just not superstars, not yet. So maybe I'm playing semantics here. If you think that they're, you know, if your superstars are stars, then that's all fine and good, but that just doesn't really feel right. De'Aaron Fox, I would definitely call some level of a star. I would say that next level, that every year they're going to be in the All-NBA conversation. Every year they're a threat to go deep into the playoffs because that guy is on your team. No, De'Aaron Fox is not that quite yet.
And that's okay, because there's only like 7 of those in the entire NBA.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny enough, like I said, we started the show with Brock Purdy. It's almost, is it not kind of similar to the Brock Purdy conversation?
I don't think so, but that's just...
Who's better?
You mean who's between Brock Purdy and De'Aaron Fox?
Yes. Why isn't it a conversation?
Who's more valuable to their team? Because it's not apples to oranges.
It's not apples to apples, but just play the game with me.
Okay, so Brock Purdy as a quarterback, Brock Purdy's the better quarterback compared to Fox in the NBA as a whole. But if you're giving me the most valuable players in the NFL, De'Aaron Fox is more valuable to the Sacramento Kings than Brock Purdy is to the 49ers when you look at the all pool of NFL players.
So it's funny because I feel like I have that flipped. For what you just said, I feel like I would flip that, but it just popped into my head. So yeah, interesting stuff. I did want to get to this on the Golden State Warriors. So this whole thing has just been a complete mess. The Warriors, Draymond didn't play last night, but he's talking because that's what he does. The Warriors lose to the Raptors yesterday, and the Raptors had 8 losses. Now, I know the Kings did lose, and Drake was in the building again, but the Kings lost. At least Vince Carter was getting his jersey retired. That was a different version of the Kings team. But you have Draymond and Steph going a bit viral because of what they've been saying about the organization. And everybody is, man, I'm sure not in Sacramento, but man, I feel bad for Steph. they need to move off of Brandon Pajemski and move off of Brandon Kuminga and find a way to get Steph some help. But what do you do when the star is not saying to do that? So you have Draymond Green, who said this: the beautiful part about being in the space that we're in is Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, and myself all disagree with mortgaging off the future of this organization, saying that we're going for it right now. Green told Yahoo Sports on Thursday after they beat the Pistons. He goes on to say, bad teams do that. Bad organizations do that. We're not either one. Then after the loss last night, Steph gets asked a version of that question, and Steph says, desperate trades or desperate moves that deplete the future, there is a responsibility on keeping the franchise in a good space, a good spot when it comes to where we leave this thing when we're done. So, I saw Brian Windhorst talking about it, saying that this is just not normally what stars say. And what's confusing me about this is I don't really know what the Warriors do next. So, Steph, why are you still playing? Because all throughout the summer, it was, we want to put our position, ourselves in a position to get number 5. Okay, well, you're not doing that. So I'm trying to figure out what it is exactly that I'm missing. I know why Draymond is riding like that, because Draymond punched someone in the face and got paid $100 million, I think, the next month. So I understand Draymond's point of view. Draymond, based on what he thought his NBA career was, Draymond has completely, I think, outdone himself.
I think someone made the point one time, no one has done more with less than Draymond Green in terms of being a former second-round pick turned Hall of Famer.
So Draymond is sitting there with his 4 rings, and I'm sure Draymond is very happy. Steph Curry, he's the one that's always said, I want to play at this certain level. I want to get as many rings as possible. But now all of a sudden, he doesn't want you to be desperate. I think what's confusing me about this, because it's similar, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because it is a version of the De'Aaron Fox thing. We don't know what the details were, but in order to compete, you have to make moves. You have to spend money. So De'Aaron Fox saying, if you want me, Kings organization, you have to do certain things for me. So I think what's confusing to me is what is Steph leaving out? The way I see it, because this is what I didn't get. You don't want to move off of Jonathan Kuminga, fine. You don't want to move off of Brandon Pajemski, that's your prerogative. When you get to the Andrew Wiggins of it all, and you're talking about not moving Andrew Wiggins for Jimmy Butler, then I just start wondering, why don't you just move Steph? How is this supposed to end? Because it doesn't look like you're happy, Steph. And obviously, it's a situation that I think is similar to the Kings, where the Warriors need to make a move, but they're not this bad. They're really dinged up. Kuminga's been out. Pajemski's been out. GP2's been out. They're depleted right now, and they were playing well at the beginning of the season with DeAnthony Melton. So they're not this bad, right? But at the same time, so are you saying you just don't want to do anything?
But they're also not good.
They're not good.
And this is the thing that I think is the reality of the situation for Steph. And I want to say on the front end, to what Draymond said, 100% agree. Could not agree more with what Draymond said, that bad organizations mortgage their futures by making desperate trades. Cannot agree with Draymond more on that. But to the Steph point, I don't think this team thinks they're a Jimmy Butler away. I don't think this team...
Then what are they doing?
Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. They are reaping what they sowed by all of the bad decisions that they've made over the last 5 years, right? And this is why Bob Myers left, right? Bob Myers left so that a new guy would have to tear it down. And eventually Steve Kerr's going to be gone, and Klay Thompson was the next to go. Then it's going to be Draymond. Then it's going to be Steve Kerr, and Steph is going to be the last one standing, because Steph is going to be organization until I can't any longer.
Right.
And the organization decides inexplicably, they might at some point say the best choice for us going forward is to trade Steph. I don't think that'll happen. I think Steph will just get the Kobe contract and retire with the Warriors. But this is just bad decision after bad decision after bad decision over 5 years, reaping what it has sowed. And this is how many of the great dynasties fall apart, is exactly the way we're watching it right now. They cannot win another championship because they're just so far behind the 8 ball.
And they've made some bad decisions when it came to who they decided to draft. You know how I feel about Jordan Poole. I'm not saying it would be much different, but the James Wiseman thing, obviously I was covering the team when that happened. I don't really know what you do with the James Wiseman thing. At the time, they didn't feel like they needed another guard. They decided to pass on LaMelo Ball. And I think the argument was, well, if Kevon Looney can do this, how is James Wiseman not going to flourish? And then we watched that.
But it doesn't even have to stop there, right? They lost Kevin Durant. They were not a champion in 2019, and they lost Kevin Durant for essentially Wiggins and Kuminga. Right? That's basically what they got back for Kevin Durant. That's a huge loss of value going out to make up for. And I know they won the championship in 2022, but it's still Wiggins and Kuminga all these years later. Like they have not closed that talent gap that they lost by virtue of losing Kevin Durant. They allowed Klay Thompson to age the way Klay Thompson wanted to age. You know, they stood by him post Achilles and post ACL. That one, you know, you could say they did right by an organizational cornerstone. That's fine. But beyond the drafting, they haven't made trades.
And he still wasn't happy. He still wasn't happy.
Who, Klay?
Klay.
Yeah, but I think that's by virtue of just him not being the player that he once was.
Yeah, well, there was still some disrespect he felt there.
Sure.
With the amount of time and things like that.
Oh, for sure. Once Draymond gets to retire how Draymond wants to retire, I think Klay's looking at it like, what are we doing here? Why am I the one who sacrificed year after year after year? When Kevin Durant came in, I took a back seat, and now I don't get to retire the way I want to retire. And that's the tough thing about this for the Warriors is like they have made no major free agent signing in the last 6 years. The draft picks have been bad. And now they're just reaping what they sowed because these players that were the cornerstones of their franchise just got older.
But the draft picks have been quote unquote bad, but you can't move or you don't want to move Jonathan Kuminga because he has too much value. Because that's all you have to show.
Yeah, but Jonathan Kuminga doesn't have good enough value to overcome losing Kevin Durant.
No,
I'm
not saying that he does. I'm saying they're holding I don't really know what the Warriors are sacrificing for, right? Oh, we can't move. This is not, I mean, you look at the Jalen Johnsons of the world, guys like that on the Hawks, heck, the Dyson Daniels of the world, and Draymond and Steph, they're talking as if these guys, who are they? And I know we got to get to a break. Who are they actually talking about? Oh, we can't mess up our future. For Jonathan Kuminga?
No, I think Steph is talking about the 2031
future draft picks.
I think he's talking about the 7th graders, the future 7th graders that will one day be the future of the Warriors.
And they have not hit on the pass. So I just thought it was interesting because of the De'Aaron Fox thing and hey, we got to show that we're competing. Well, where does that line if 4-time champions are saying, hey, they're in different spots of their career, but what is that line for an organization to decide, hey, this is what we want to do or this is what we can't do? Jimmy Butler, he's dealing with some organizational issues. How does that affect the Kings and who the Kings might be looking to find or pick up during the trade market and the trade before the trade deadline comes? Let's talk Jimmy Butler when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
Celebrate the new year in style with a new Honda from Stockton Honda. Whether you're shopping new or pre-owned, Stockton Honda has the selection and savings. With over 500 new Hondas in stock and ready to go, now is the time to save on your favorite Honda in person or online. CR-V, HR-V, Pilot, Accord, Civic, and Ridgeline. It's a new year with endless possibilities. Get the deals that make it easy to say yes at Stockton Honda.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
Intercepted
by Fred Warner.
Faithful to the Bay.
Fred gets up and runs back the other way, 30.
Don't miss the excitement of 49ers game day. Secure your spot at Levi's Stadium for the 2025 season.
20, one block and he's in.
Season tickets are available now. Inventory is limited, so to speak with a representative, call 415-GO-49ers.
Touchdown!
That's 415-GO-49ers.
San Francisco!
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? It seems impossible to find them. Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go. ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Are you ready to tackle your to-do list with Bell Brothers? This is the year to get it done. You can count on Bell Brothers to fix your furnace, unclog your drain, replace your old water heater, and more. Right now, take advantage of $50 off any repair. Have a nagging plumbing problem? Get $50 off. Does your furnace need some work? Get $50 off. Bell Brothers has the most friendly, well-qualified technicians to handle all of your plumbing and heating needs fast. So stop putting it off. Call Bell Brothers at 916-444-1234 or go online to thenosurpriseguys.com. Now, this is the year to finally take care of all your plumbing and heating problems. Get $50 off any repair by calling Bell Brothers at 916-444-1234 or find us online at thenosurpriseguys.com. That's thenosurpriseguys.com. Offer does not apply towards service fee. Minimum repair required. May not be combined with other offers.
The No Surprise Guys, Bell Brothers.
Hey, it's Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, and the regular season is over, but the high hand bonuses, those are not. $500 per primetime football game, whether it's weekend, Monday night, whatever it may be. And those bonuses available until the season ends, including the big game on February 9th. Capital Casino, 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com. Please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sacktown Sports IMAX Pass by visiting sacktownsports.com. Sign up today. You can win tickets to see this week's films at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
It is almost time. I will say this. I just remembered the 5 o'clock start for the Kings. That's huge. Gotta love that. Do you prefer the early starts, Kyle?
Oh, 1,000%. If my sleep schedule permitted, I would go to bed at 9:30, wake up at 6. I love not having to stay up late for those West Coast games.
5 o'clock is the start time, and the Kings will be in Milwaukee because we've got the whole experience. We had the 4:30 with the Celtics. The only one we had the matinee on Sunday. That I loved that.
I did not because I was trying to watch football during that point. I guess the cooperative thing was the Bills game was a blowout.
I was going to say, at least you didn't have to miss a good game. The only one we didn't have yet is the straight up 4 o'clock start.
It's coming at some point. I don't remember when, but I know it's coming up on the schedule, which is nice for the drive guys because they get a 30-minute show.
Oh, don't get me started with them. Their paychecks, I mean, half the time they don't even have to do anything. I'm just kidding.
When I used to work the Kings games on the station for the last couple of years, I was looking forward to that 4 o'clock game all year long.
Yeah.
You're out by 7 o'clock. You can still do things that night. Oh, it's so great. There's a lot of 4:30s coming up, but I don't see any 4 o'clocks until Oh, there you go. Pacers. That's what it is. Pacers, Wizards. We got a week of 4 o'clock games. We got a Monday, Wednesday, Friday of 4 o'clock games coming up later in the season.
Can't wait for it, but I also can't wait for the Kings taking on the Bucks tonight, and that's at 5 o'clock. From Folsom Mike, we were having the De'Aaron Fox conversation as far as how much do you give up for your, and we were about to talk about Jimmy Butler as well. How much do you give up for your franchise guy if you want to keep the franchise guy? We've compared Brock Purdy to De'Aaron Fox, which was a lot of fun. And now you have Folsom Mike saying, so you can't lose Durant for Wiggins and Kuminga, yet we're spending days talking about giving up Fox for nobody guys like I believe he means Stephon Castle and Cam, whoever, Cam Whitmore. Pretty relative, even though Fox is no Durant. That's from Folsom Mike. Yeah, I think you're not wrong. I think the issue was, to be honest, and not to get too in the weeds with the Warriors stuff, was that Kevin Durant wanted to leave, right? He didn't want to sign another contract. So it was, maybe you could discuss the handling of the Draymond, and I'm pretty sure, didn't they suspend Draymond or something weird when Draymond yelled at KD? At that point, then we had all the... Oh, that was crazy. That's right. Then we had all the conversations about, well, Draymond acted like that because they already knew that KD was probably leaving. And you're talking about two of the most confusing minds in basketball, with Kevin Durant, trying to figure out Kevin Durant and Draymond Green. So I don't know if it's the same thing, Folsom Mike, because there is in no way, shape, or form where I am worried about losing De'Aaron Fox for nothing. This is the Shohei Ohtani, we're just going to power through, not trade him, and then convince him in free agency. It just is never going to get there. So what you're saying, well, what about the guys you're going to get back for De'Aaron? They're not going to be De'Aaron. I think, number one, you don't know. There is always the Clippers OKC conversation. And number two, this is about what De'Aaron Fox wants. So I think the bigger conversation is, what do you do to try to prevent De'Aaron from leaving? So I think the tough spot for the Kings is, okay, well, and we talked about this with Sean Cunningham. You can go check it out on YouTube or the Sacktown Sports app. He was on at 11 o'clock when Sean says, well, if them moving on from Mike Brown says they're at least entertaining, I'm paraphrasing, they're at least entertaining a world without De'Aaron Fox, because we all know that De'Aaron Fox was really big on Coach Mike Brown. So they're at least entertaining it. So the difference between the Durant conversation and De'Aaron Fox is, how much do you want to make moves to keep De'Aaron now, knowing that there's no promise, right? If and again, now the Kings are on a 7-game win streak. Let's say you move the first rounders, Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, who's been playing well, or Devin Carter, to get Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson goes full Dennis Schroeder on the Warriors, who Dennis Schroeder hasn't really been playing too well, not like what he was doing in Brooklyn. You move for Cam Johnson. That's really the biggest move you can make right now. The Kings still miss the playoffs. Maybe they lose in the play-in, and then you lose and then you have to move De'Aaron Fox anyway. So I think that's the difference here. Are you making moves to try to convince De'Aaron ahead of time versus Kevin Durant, where, hey, you didn't necessarily want to trade, Wiggins, and I think didn't they get back D'Lo? That was when D'Angelo Russell was on the Warriors for a hot second. Sorry, my larger point was they got D'Angelo Russell and then flipped D'Angelo Russell for Wiggins. And the pick that became Kuminga. Yes. So that's how we got to that, just to clarify. And that's 2 stages down the line, but essentially, if you follow the path, that's what they got. So you're still taking a chance there. That's what I think the problem is. And the other thing I want to clarify for Folsom Mike is that the Warriors were already at this championship level. And for radio people, my hands are way up high and the Kings are down here. The Golden State Warriors lost value by essentially swapping Kevin Durant for Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga.
and they still won a championship. I know it was a weird championship, but they still won a championship despite losing Kevin Durant for Wiggins and Kuminga. So the Warriors were already there before we get to that point. With a De'Aaron Fox trade, I don't think it will matter if we get to that point, because the organization is going to look dramatically different than what it did before. It's not like the Warriors situation where they lose Kevin Durant and whatever, we still have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and oh, hey, we still won a championship 3 years later.
Yeah, here is the quick update on Jimmy Butler. So Jimmy Butler, he reiterated, they met face-to-face. Jimmy Butler reiterated to team president Pat Riley in a face-to-face meeting last week that he wants to be traded, league sources told ESPN. Butler told Riley that he will not sign a new deal in Miami and intends to only use his $52 million player option in the offseason as a trade maneuver. What he also said, which I found interesting, is that Chris Haynes is now reporting that Jimmy Butler essentially intends to play once his suspension is up. So he's not necessarily trying to, avoid playing for the Heat. He's willing to play for the Heat, but he does want to be moved.
Jesus, this is going to get so ugly in a couple days.
I mean, he can't, and he's saying that to say there's no way Jimmy Butler, they let him back on that court.
They
right?
cannot. They cannot. They simply cannot let Jimmy Butler play for them at this point going forward. You don't make that suspension that they're going to fight the Players Association on with the intention of him ever playing for you again.
Yeah, so this is from Dan Le Batard Show. This is Chris Haynes. Pat Riley was informed that a face-to-face was necessary with Jimmy after all that went down. It never materialized. They didn't communicate via text, phone conversation, or face-to-face. And yeah, there's just a lot of random stuff happening with Jimmy. But this is what Chris did say, Chris Haynes. I'm told Jimmy Butler is fully prepared to return to play for the Miami Heat if he is not moved by the time his suspension is lifted. So he's essentially saying, and the NBA, the Players Association, things like that, if Jimmy wants to play, then you either got to move him or he's got to play. So I don't really know who has the power in this situation. Sometimes it feels like Jimmy, sometimes it feels like Pat Riley, but anytime you can opt into $52 million, you're in a pretty good spot. You are in a pretty good spot. Let's see if the Kings will be in a good spot as they take on the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. 5 o'clock Kings Bucks preview coming up. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Tonight, Kings and Bucks. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports 1140.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million plus products and a scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey you, I knew I'd find you back in the same aisle. What are you looking for today? More fiber, more laxatives, more of the same ways to manage your constipation? Look, if your constipation with belly pain keeps coming back, you may have irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. Ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find: happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can get people to lean toward your head to smell those aminos. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shampoo, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
For a precision-crafted performance, the decision is easy. A new Acura from Acura of Stockton. Get the driving experience you've been waiting for in a new Acura. Get the best selection and customer service you deserve from Acura of Stockton. Shop in person or use our online express store at AcuraofStockton.com. Acura of Stockton will buy your trade, even if you don't buy from us. Don't settle for less than precision-crafted performance of a new Acura from Acura of Stockton and AcuraofStockton.com.
Your local sports leader in the 916.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
One more hour with you. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking up to 2 p.m. We don't have to wait that long for the Kings to play tonight. They will be getting after it at 5 p.m. Drive Guys up next on this East Coast trip. You know, we spent some time talking about trades and the future. Let's talk about the here and now. And the here and now is that the Kings are taking on a Milwaukee Bucks team that has been a bit hot and cold. They're 5-5. Their last 10 games, okay? And they have been starting to roll a little bit since November 17th. The Bucks are 13-5 when Dame and Giannis both play. Their season long rankings, they are 14th in offensive rating, 11th in defensive rating, 13th in net rating. Since November 17th, when the Bucks, they had their own 7-game win streak, they are tied in 13th for offensive rating, 9th in defensive rating, and 9th in net rating. So they have turned it up a little bit, and now the Kings have a win streak of their own that they don't want beat down or destroyed by the Milwaukee Bucks. And they're going to have to do it without Malik Monk. If you're just now joining us, thank you for joining us. Hope your day's been rocking and rolling so far. Malik Monk, groin soreness. Malik Monk will not be playing tonight. I think we'll be seeing a lot of Keon Ellis on Dame Lillard. I believe Chris Middleton is out.
Do you want to play the game of is Chris Middleton playing or Chris Middleton not?
Chris Middleton, he's got to be out.
Yes, he's out.
He's out.
Out with an ankle injury.
So you have Chris Middleton. You have another former Golden State Warrior, Ryan Rollins, is questionable, and Gary Trent Jr. questionable as well. I saw something, says Ryan Rollins questionable with illness. I saw something yesterday. I guess there's a really bad flu or something going around the NBA.
Yeah, everyone's getting hit with something. I mean, the Kings kind of had that, not flu, but illness with Sabonis at one point. So everyone's getting hit with something.
So a couple guys will be missing for both teams. I think the Bucks, no disrespect, but I think the Bucks are probably pretty used to playing without Chris Middleton at this point in time.
At least you can expect that it'll happen every now and again. That's why Dame is there now, right? Giannis used to say that Chris Middleton was his last second go-to guy. That's why they brought in Dame, because, Chris Middleton's gotten a little bit older. Well, honestly, all these guys have gotten a little bit older.
Yeah, this is a really confusing team. They're sitting in the 6th seed right now, and they're 20-17. They make the big move, and it's supposed to be, oh man, the Bucks, and they got destroyed by the New York Knicks on Sunday, 140-106. 140-106. They got destroyed by the Knicks. And this is a team where you make the move for Dame, and Dame's finally going to get his chance to win a championship. And I feel like nobody thinks the Bucks are going to win a championship.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I think is interesting, is that the Bucks traded a lot of their draft capital to bring in Drew Holiday at first and then eventually Damian Lillard. They spent all their money building this big three. They've been in the luxury tax for like 5 years in a row. They've given up all their picks. They don't really have any recourse for improvement now. They've gone through 3 coaches now. They don't have picks, don't have players, so they're relying a lot on minimum contract guys like Taurean Prince, second-round picks like Andre Jackson Jr., undrafted guys like AJ Green. And other than that, it's the exact same team you remember from 2 years ago. And that's just very interesting to me of how they try and exist in this space where they can't make any more win-now trades because they simply don't have the money or picks to make it happen.
You have a Bobby Portis Jr. who, I love Bobby Portis Jr. He's another guy that takes a lot of mid-ranges. You might not think of him as that guy, but Bobby Portis Jr., another mid-range merchant. He played 19 minutes. He had 8 points, 4 rebounds. I still think his contract is a really good contract, but, there were conversations about the Bucks maybe moving off of Bobby Portis Jr. to get more rotational pieces. I'm just not really sure. They just need so much, right? I mean, I'm looking here at Dame Lillard, Andre Jackson. They don't have any type of backup point guard or just a secondary guard. It's just all Dame Lillard. You're starting Brook Lopez, and he's got to be in his 40s or really close to his 40s.
I think his 17th year in the league.
It's just been you're starting Brook Lopez. This is against the Knicks now, who they don't have a traditional big either, really. And you're starting a Brook Lopez who's playing 23 minutes, 5 points, 3 assists. How on God's green earth do you play 23 minutes at 7 foot and get 1 rebound? How is that even physically possible?
Brook Lopez is such an amazing story because he shot 0 3-pointers his entire time with Brooklyn, and now he's essentially a 4.
Yeah.
And barely a 4 at that. I mean, it's crazy what his career has become, which, by the way, congratulations, Keegan. You want a night off? You get to guard Brook Lopez tonight.
Yeah.
So congrats, Keegan. You finally get one night where you don't have to torture your body guarding the best player on the other team.
Against the Knicks, and I'm sure it was a hard-earned 22 and 24, you have Giannis at 24 and 13, and obviously this was a bad game, but you have Giannis at 24 and 13. You have Dame Lillard at 22 points, 5 assists, like I said. And you actually had Chris Middleton putting up 16 off the bench in that game. So that's a pretty good game for Chris Middleton. Like I said, Bobby Portis 8, Pat Connaughton, who is, I think, the Bucks version of Kevin Huerter, if you will. Pat Connaughton at 8 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. They really just don't have the horses, even without Malik Monk. I mean, you have Giannis. All you have to do is make sure it's not the Giannis and Dame Lillard show. You probably can't stop Giannis. So if you just make sure Dame Lillard, you keep him in check, literally what the Knicks did. And I know the Knicks are, Tom Thibodeau, they're going to get after you defensively, but you had Giannis with 24, Dame Lillard with 22, Chris Middleton with 16, and nobody else really did anything. That's you do that, and defensively, I know they've been better, but they are not a very hardcore defensive team. You do that, and I feel like the Kings should win this game. This is what happened. This is 109-106, the game prior against the Orlando Magic. This was the issue here, right? So, first of all, you let Giannis get 41 points, the Magic did. Giannis got 41. He had 41 and 14. Dame, you let him get nearly to 30. He had 29 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. Bobby Portis had 11. Chris Middleton had 11. That's where you start to run into issues here. If you let these guys creep up and combine for over 60 points, nearly 70 points. Actually, it was 70. For 70 points between Giannis and Dame Lillard, yeah, that's an issue.
That's usually where you get crushed.
That's the issue. You cannot let Dame Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, you can let them both kind of do their thing. Can't let them combine for 70, though. That's going to be a problem. So you don't do that, and you're able to just shoot the basketball the way you've been shooting it. This is a game that I do feel like the Kings should be able to win. And not to say that they should, but they should be able to win.
If you go back and look at the Milwaukee Bucks' best wins this year, there's the in-season championship against the Thunder, where the Thunder were just bricking it from all over the place. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking back, it's a lot of wins against Spurs, Raptors, Bulls. They beat the Hawks a couple times. But when they play the top teams in the East, it's lost to the Celtics, lost to the Cavs, 30-point loss to the Knicks. They beat the Magic, but they also lost earlier in the season to the Magic. It seems like a lot of their record has been feasting on teams that are either not playoff teams or like the Pacers, where they got the Pacers at a time rolling like they are right now. Actually, I think the Pacers have run off like 6 in a row after losing to the Bucks. So they are certainly not in the first tier of teams in the East, and it's kind of debatable as to whether or not they're even in the second tier of teams. But I guess because they have Giannis, you assume they've always got a shot. Although this is maybe my favorite stat. Do you know it's been almost 960 days since Giannis last won a playoff game?
That is surprising.
960 days. It's going to be over 1,000 days between Giannis playoff wins because he was hurt at times in the last 2 playoffs.
So I'm looking here, and the Kings are actually underdogs, which I do like. The Kings are underdogs by just 2.5. Okay, Bucks are favored by 2.5. And I think this is a situation where, same thing we always say, the stars will be the stars. Can you limit the stars, and can you show up as far as the bench is concerned and secondary players? What we've been seeing from Keegan Murray getting to 13, 14, 15 points, that's been huge. Trey Lyles just continues to do what he's been doing. You got it, maybe, with no Malik Monk, Kevin Hurt. I'm still waiting. It's not prop talk yet, but we're still waiting for Kevin Huerter sighting. He's got a hot game coming. It's just a matter of when. So you have a Kevin Huerter situation and Keon Ellis. Guys like that can put you in a better position to win on the road against a team that has normally played you pretty tough. And you should have beat a year ago to the day. You should have beat the Milwaukee Bucks, but you didn't. And, somebody on the text line was saying this win streak doesn't feel the same because you're climbing out of the basement. It's not as if you're going from the 5 seed to the 3 seed. You were literally the worst team in the Western Conference that wasn't trying to actively lose games. So you're still climbing out, and that's why we're enjoying this 7-game win streak, but that's just to get back into the conversation that we all thought they should have already been in.
Yeah, I agree with the texter, and I was talking about this with Draper yesterday. Like, it doesn't feel as good as past win streaks or runs for the Kings, but I haven't been able to pin down why that's the case. So I like the texter's hypothesis.
Let's get to the other side, and when we do, does the win streak feel different for you? And what if the Kings win without Malik Monk? Are we going to do that thing again? I really hope not. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Celebrate the new year in style with a new Honda from Stockton Honda. Whether you're shopping new or pre-owned, Stockton Honda has the selection and savings. With over 500 new Hondas in stock and ready to go, now is the time to save on your favorite Honda in person or online. CR-V, HR-V, Pilot, Accord, Civic, and Ridgeline. It's a new year with endless possibilities. Get the deals that make it easy to say yes at Stockton Honda.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
What sets Ashton & Price apart from other injury law firms? I'll tell you. From beginning to end, all important legal decisions are made directly between our clients and their experienced local attorney. A gate agent flying the plane, the receptionist performing surgery, not a chance. There's simply no substitute for the unique power of the direct attorney-client relationship offered by Ashton & Price. And there's never a fee until we win, and between you and me, we win a lot.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Box to Sabonis, right elbow this time. Good land off to Herter. He's ready to launch again. Can he do it again?
You bet he can! Kevin Herter lighting the lamp from downtown for the 7th time tonight. 14 in the quarter, 25 in the game. Kings take the lead. Here's Middleton, shaking, up fake, draws the foul. Shot hangs on the rim and it teeters in.
Fox dribble hand off to Trey Lyles. Finds Harrison Barnes. Left shoulder toward the basket. Squares up. Drives on Middleton. Kicks to Sabonis, left corner. Hands to Herter. Rocks, fires for three. He is red hot tonight from downtown. From the runways, Kevin Herter's on fire. That's his 8th triple in 10 attempts. He's got 28 points, 17 in the quarter.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
It's got to be a Kevin Herter night. Could it be a Kevin Herter night? You know what I'm waiting for? Prop talk. When are they going to put my man Devin Carter on the prop apps?
Who?
I need my Devin Carter rebounds, and I need them pronto.
God blessing me with his body.
Thank you, Devin.
God blessing me with his body.
That's what I need. Could today be the day? I haven't checked yet. Prop talk coming up. Had a good weekend when it comes to the prop talk. My buddy did. My buddy seemed to have a pretty good weekend. But he didn't do so good last night, though. Last night, and Sam Darnold, he cooked a lot of tickets. I'll tell you that
Big
much.
Justin Jefferson guy you were, huh?
Yeah. Or Jordan Addison. Just give me someone. Give me someone, or give my friend someone on a ticket that would have worked.
They were already
out.
down 24-3 at that point. Their offense works great when Sam Darnold doesn't have to do hero ball, which is also part of the whole conversation from earlier. Sam Darnold wasn't actually that good this year. The defense was carrying them.
Yeah, and it also gets confusing about the Justin Jefferson when people want to have conversations about paying him the most money and, dare I say, MVP. Football is just so tough, man, because you can neutralize a guy like that. That's why you just have to separate the MVP versus the quarterback conversation, because it's about the quarterback. That's it.
I will say this season did make me realize Justin Jefferson might be the best wide receiver I've seen in my lifetime. I won't go back to the Jerry Rices and everything, but of the last 15 years, the Calvin Johnsons, the Larry Fitzgeralds, the Julio Joneses, Justin Jefferson might be the best receiver, period, of the last 15 years.
Yeah. So I am really fascinated to see what happens with Sam Darnold. But yeah, prop talk last night wasn't a hitter. And now we are going to get into a conversation, and that's what I'm asking this question, man. Are we going to do the thing? So I asked the question before the break, are we going to do the Malik Monk thing the same way people do the De'Aaron Fox thing, and the same way everybody does the thing when you win without someone? You have to ask this question, and here it is, flipped, all right? And again, the Milwaukee Bucks, fine team. They're favored by 2.5. They haven't been world beaters this season. So here it is from the 5-3-0. They're doing the thing in a different way, because that's how protected Malik Monk is. 5-3-0 says, this is what I thought. I thought that the conversation was going to be, if the Kings win without Malik Monk, how important is Malik Monk? Okay, that's the normal conversation. People ride for Malik Monk so much. The question is from the 530, if the Kings lose tonight, does that mean Malik Monk is better than De'Aaron Fox? That's the question.
Pizza guy.
That's the question from the 530. So we're doing the thing in a different way. Why do we have to do this?
I think they're just sneaking it backdoor on you. They knew
Why do we have to do this?
You were like the bouncer. You were gatekeeping people from their absurd takes. And so they kind of snuck through the back door with the, is Malik Monk better than De'Aaron Fox? Instead of the Kings are better without Malik Monk. They just flipped it on you. You weren't ready for it.
I think Malik Monk, and this is what I said, Malik Monk is probably the most protected Sacramento King there is. And I don't have a problem with that because I love Malik Monk. He's probably my favorite player on the team. But
pizza guy right there.
Big pizza guy. But it is really hard to find people that will say, and I'm not saying you need to run around saying negative things about the guys on your team, but when I say something about De'Aaron Fox that might not be the most positive thing in the world, somebody is going to agree with me. When I say something about DeMar DeRozan, somebody is going to agree with me. When I say something about Keegan Murray, somebody is going to agree with me. I believe there are only two people. And maybe even I want to put Sabonis in this category, but some people will come down Sabonis' road too. I feel like Malik Monk is the most protected Sacramento King right now. And I think it's for a couple of different reasons. I think it was already Malik. I think Malik deciding to stay and seemingly taking a pay cut, we don't know by how much.
I'm a pizza guy.
But Malik deciding to stay, I believe, has put him in a different category where he is the most protected Sacramento King right now. I don't think I could find anybody to say something negative about Malik Monk. And there's no reason to. He's been balling out. But I do find it interesting that you can say something about De'Aaron Fox, who is the best player on the team, arguably, with Domantas Sabonis. You could find somebody to say something negative about Domantas Sabonis, but Malik Monk is very, very much protected right now.
You know what? You say that nobody will say anything negative about Malik Monk. So you know what? I will be the bearer of bad news.
Okay.
I will be that person. Malik, you're not playing tonight. On the road. You were probably expecting to play tonight. I expect to see a great fashion outfit tonight from you, okay?
Oh.
You pride yourself on being the best dressed guy on the Kings. Well, look, tonight's your night. You got all day. Go through Milwaukee, show up to those designer stores. I need to see a classic Malik Monk 2023 outfit on that bench tonight. You hear me?
GQ man. That's the GQ man, best dressed.
I'm just saying, Malik, you got to step up the fashion game tonight. If you want to stake that claim, because you know who's coming for you? Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis is looking at Malik and saying, I think with my plaid T-shirts and white-collared shirts, I can catch Malik Monk as the best-dressed Sacramento King.
No. So what's going to happen is the Kings win tonight, and this is what I'm saying. The Kings win tonight, and nobody tomorrow is going to say, should we think about moving Malik Monk, right? We have all the guards. You have an elite guard with De'Aaron Fox. You have Devin Carter. You still have Keon Ellis. We've talked about the fact that that's probably one too many guards. But at the same time, if you win a game without De'Aaron Fox and people say, and I know it's because Malik just chose the Kings, and here is De'Aaron Fox saying, I don't know if I'm going to choose the Kings, but I do find it fascinating. Just with different teams, there's always a protected guy, and it might not necessarily be the best guy on your team. There's other things that contribute to it. And right now, Malik Monk, and somebody is saying, terrible timing for a Monk scheduled rest day. They are getting greedy from the 916. No, they're not. His groin is sore, and as somebody who pulled their groin, you don't want to mess with that. So they're not getting greedy, 916.
Soft tissue injuries.
Yeah.
Man. Those soft tissue injuries are messy.
If anything, it should be a little bit worrisome simply because the groin can nag. I believe Trey Lyles had a groin going into the season. So they are definitely not getting greedy, and I believe Malik would be especially because Malik missed those free throws. They lost in heart-crushing fashion the last time they were in Milwaukee. So, I don't know where you heard that 916, but this is not a scheduled rest day for Malik Monk. He is out with groin soreness, and you don't want that to get any worse than it already is. Okay, we have more from the injury report when we return. Also, looking back at some of the past games that the Kings have had with the Bucks. We're in for a good one tonight. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Tonight, Kings and Bucks. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports 1140.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. Welcome to your Tuesday. Heading through the afternoon, plenty of sunshine, lighter winds today, and highs will peak in the low 60s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
Don't miss the excitement of 49ers Game Day by securing your 2025 season tickets now. Inventory is limited, so speak with a representative. Dial 415-GO-NINERS and reserve your seats. That's 415-GO-NINERS.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures, until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive, so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you tired of your tee shots ending up in the adjoining fairway while the rest of your foursome is hitting it down the middle? Well, experts will tell you that being properly fitted for golf clubs will help you strike your drive center cut. The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio and its team of trained PGA professionals are ready to help you get rid of your banana balls and duck hooks. Hagen Oaks Indoor-Outdoor Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
This 49er Injury Report is brought to you by Jeremy Winter, attorney at law. He cares because he's been there. After an injury-plagued 2024 season, which ended 6-11 and out of the playoffs, the 49ers will focus on getting healthy in the offseason. Running backs Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, and Isaac Guerrero all suffered season-ending injuries. Left tackle Trent Williams' ankle kept him out late in the year, and Brock Purdy missed the season finale with a hurt elbow. 49ers hope to enter 2025 with a full roster back intact.
Serious accident. You deserve the law offices of Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237. Jeremy lost his mother in a car accident and knows firsthand the pain caused by tragedy. That is why he became an attorney to fight for others who are going through a tragedy. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, you deserve more. You deserve better. You deserve Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237.
Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, is coming back May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, Cole Wetzel, Nate Smith, and more. You'll enjoy food trucks, rock walls, and a mechanical bull, line dancing, and more. Single-day GA tickets start at $52 at CITPFest.com. Country in the Park, May 16th and 17th with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Find out more at CITPFest.com.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland, and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
You know, when it's all on the line, you need a big-time closer, and that's especially true when it comes to your garage door. And that's why I recommend National Garage Door, 638-4554. Whitey Gleason here for National Garage Door. Whether you're looking to repair an existing door or get a brand new one installed, you need National Garage Door. Family-owned and operated. They've been around since 1974 because service is their number one priority. National Garage Door are the region's BSE, that's broken spring experts. Styles, prices, and quality of the new doors will amaze you. Our garage door was starting to sound kind of, and that's not good. So Kevin from National Garage Door came out. He said patching up the old one was an option, but we're getting a new garage door. We're pretty happy about that. National Garage Door sells quality Rainer branded garage doors. They offer sales, service, and installation on all residential and commercial doors and operators. If you have garage door needs, old ones coming apart, or you're looking to improve your curb appeal, let National Garage Door come through for you in the clutch and be your closer. 638-4554, National Garage Door.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
We're talking not untouchable, but untalkable? Untalkaboutable? The Sacramento Kings players that, hey, I don't like it when you talk about them like that. You're not going to say anything negative like that. So we said with Malik Monk being out, if the Kings win tonight, I don't know that we will find one person that would say, hey, and I know he just recently signed, so it's not the same situation as De'Aaron Fox, but De'Aaron Fox is a star in this league. I don't know about superstar, but he's a star, and Malik Monk is not. And let's not forget, what was that? In December, there were a couple different reports that said, hey, if this thing goes south, you got Malik Monk on a pretty darn good deal. What if Malik Monk got moved, right? And you'd probably get a lot back for him because of his value. So fast forward to now where we can have conversations about moving away from De'Aaron Fox when the Kings win a game without De'Aaron Fox, but you win a game without Malik Monk. I got people on the text line saying, well, what if they lose without Malik Monk? Does that mean he's better than Fox? People don't even want to talk about moving Malik Monk, even if the Kings were to win. So we were just having that untouchable conversation. And Bridget on the Sack Chat says, Keon as well. Keon can kind of do no wrong right now. And I think Bridget is pretty spot on with that. She continues on to say, I think anytime you have someone play so far above expectations, we glorify them. Love me some Keon, and the young man deserves his flowers. Yeah, and I think there are two situations. You have a Malik Monk who chose to stay in Sacramento, and everybody's going to ride for Malik for choosing to stay. And, he at least left some money on the table. We don't know how much, but we definitely left some money on the table. And then you have a guy in Keon who he's our guy that we found. Great story, undrafted two-way guy. And we didn't expect any of this. So I think Bridget is spot on. You don't look at De'Aaron Fox the same way because of your expectations. Hey, y'all trying to say De'Aaron might get $345 million? And De'Aaron, who's only been to one playoff, is sitting here telling the Kings, you have to make sure you do X, Y, and Z for me, or I want to make sure we're moving in the right direction. Who is this guy? Look at Malik Monk. He chose to stay here in Sacramento, right? I mean, De'Aaron was drafted to Sacramento. Malik is choosing to stay. Keon Ellis, everybody just loves a young, shiny new toy, and that's what Keon Ellis is. And the idea, it's been so long, it feels like, for the Kings finding someone. The Sasha Vezenkov thing didn't work out. The Chris Duarte thing didn't work out. A lot of these guys, it didn't work out. You have some found money, the last found money. We're trying to do it with Isaac Jones. He just hasn't really been playing. People were ready to do it with Isaac Jones.
Yeah, but he hit that rookie wall like that.
He did.
It was fun while it lasted. The Hot Honey Jones interview, and we were all big Isaac Jones guys, and yay, we have some depth off the bench, and then he hit that rookie wall so fast.
So that is the recipe to basically get valued as untouchable, or as I say, untalkaboutable. Those are some of the guys as we get ready for the game tonight. So a couple good games against the Bucks in recent past. March 2023, Trey Lyles and Brook Lopez get into a little bit of a scuffle-uffle. Kevin Huerter had a career high. That's the sounder that you heard from a couple segments ago.
Now with only 23 seconds left, it is all but formally over. Milwaukee with the 8-point lead, 132-124. Difference between the clocks is 1 second. Now, suddenly we've got Trey Lyles and Brook Lopez, and we've got a melee. They've all crowded together, and they come over and now leaning up against the media scorers table. You can't leave the bench. I didn't see what happened there, but Brook Lopez, his fire was lit.
His fire was lit. And that was a conversation that we had for so long after this when it came to who's a dog. Well, remember that one time Trey Lyles got into it, and that was the one thing that everybody had to say.
Yes, that's the only thing. It was Davion Mitchell one time yelling at, I can't even remember who it was now, and Trey Lyles got into a fight with Brook Lopez.
And that was it. And now and you have a Doug Christie who he's going to be looking. He's going to be looking. He's got the smelling salts ready, and he's going to be ready to go.
What game was it they had to hold him back after a hard foul? Was that after the Jaren Jackson
I think
Jr.?
that was Jaren Jackson.
Okay. There was someone it was the Draymond, the screen on Keon Ellis.
Yeah.
And that's when he had to be held back from going after the Warriors.
So I think we're in for a good one tonight. These are two teams that obviously every game is important, but two teams that can use each other as a bit of a measuring stick. Now the conversation goes from, okay, Kings, you beat the Celtics, and yes, they beat the Bulls, but can you beat a Giannis? Can you beat a Dame? Can you beat teams like that without Malik Monk? And if you're the Bucks, as we highlighted the Bucks, they've really just taken care of business. They're literally exactly what their record is, right? And that's what's so funny when people say you are what your record says you are. When the Kings were struggling, obviously they were playing like their record, I guess, but the offensive rating and defensive rating and net rating, things like that, didn't necessarily represent who they were. The Bucks, that's a team, now they got hot after their rough start, but the Bucks, that's a team where you have really lost to teams that we all understand you're not better than, right? I mean, the Knicks, the Celtics, things like that, but they do seem to take care of business against the lesser teams. So where do the Kings fall on that list? Are they a lesser team to where the Bucks feel good and they take care of business, or are they out of that level of teams where the Bucks just haven't been able to handle it, really?
I'm done pretending, trying to figure like I could find out where the Kings stand on any list of how good or bad they're playing at any given point in the season. I have no idea. But to the Milwaukee Bucks point, I will say after their first month of the season where they had a really tough stretch, Dame and Giannis, when they play together, the Bucks are 13-5 going back to November 17th, which is kind of when their winning streak started. When Dame and Giannis both play together, that basically is the Boston Celtics. Like for the last 2 months of the season, when they have Dame and Giannis playing together, they've basically been the Boston Celtics. So to give them credit, they have figured this thing out, even if they haven't beaten the Bostons and the Clevelands up to this point in the season yet.
So that is what we're looking to see. I obviously we're following the Kings much more than we're following the Bucks. I'm just kind of curious to see who are the Bucks right now. You're not going to have Chris Middleton. He was coming off the bench anyway. They're really scrapping together this starting lineup outside of Giannis and Dame. Do they have enough? They're somehow favorited. I mean, I know the game is at home for them, but they're favorited by 2.5, which isn't crazy per se, but that is saying, hey, we we think your stars are better than the Kings stars, and the Kings are going to be without Malik Monk. So I do think that matters a little bit.
I mean, and this is a proven in-season tournament champion. I mean,
that's right.
Come on. These guys know how to win.
And then do you remember they left all the Michelob Ultra or whatever it was?
I think it's so funny that $1 million NBA endorsement for the rest of time is going to be determined by Darvin Ham deciding we shouldn't pop the champagne, because now they can't put it in the locker room next year.
No,
there's no way.
No, there's no way because now no team will touch it again.
Yeah, of course, and that's what I'm saying. Michelob Ultra probably paid $1 million to have that sponsorship, and guess what? Because of Darvin Ham and Taurean Prince, now nobody gets to have the sponsored Michelob Ultra celebration at the end of the in-season tournament.
And I know I got to be careful here because you're not really supposed to talk about, we're not really supposed to talk about drinking, but I am curious. Has anybody ever seen anyone drink a Michelob Ultra not at a sporting event? Has anyone actually seen that happen? Because I honestly don't know that I have. I know at one point they were trying to sell it as like the athlete's beer or whatever it was. Michelob Ultra, they're going to lose out on that promotion, but I've just never seen it. Maybe it happens. I'm not, if it does happen, I'm not hating on you at all, but I've never seen, no one ever comes over with the case of Michelob,
Yeah, like I think they had Messi star in their Super Bowl commercial a couple of years ago. I'm like, where are they getting this money from?
From literally other games, right? Other sporting events. But that's what I'm saying. Do you roll up? Super Bowl's around the corner. Who's rolling up with some Mickey Ultras?
Well, that was the point that I was kind of thinking you were going towards, which is like they've got millions of dollars to sponsor sporting events. You find it in arenas, which obviously is a sponsorship deal. They get like Messi and Serena Williams and Brooks Koepka and Jimmy Butler.
It's a waste of money.
I'm not saying it's a waste of money. It's obviously working, but I'm just like, where is all the money coming from?
Thomas says, I do it at Giants games. Bridget says, at a bar with games on TV. Okay, how about this? Non-sporting, Michelob Ultra at a non-sporting event. Has anybody ever done it? There's no way.
I mean, I don't drink, so I'm the wrong person to ask, but at the same time.
Well, neither do I. So.
I'm just like, they got to be selling somewhere, right?
No, yes, at sporting events and bars.
But they have to be getting that from, people have to be grabbing it off the shelves. It has to be. Someone has to be.
209 says, Michelobs are the beer of choice around here. Better than Coors Light. Okay, well, sure, if we're in that conversation, I could probably see that. I've never seen it. I've never seen. You know what else? I know I don't want to get in trouble with this. HR listening. Sam Adams. I've never seen someone.
No, that's just all guys in Boston.
I've never seen who. What are you? I guess if you're more like for the Super Bowl, it's got to be Michelob. But who's saying, hey, pass me a Sammy Adams? Huh?
Yeah, it's all people from Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island.
Pass me a Sammy Adams. Now someone says I'm gonna go drink an Ultra because it's in my head right now. Hey, 5 o'clock somewhere. All right, I can't get in trouble. And Whitey's going to keep me back on the right track as we enjoy some crosstalk with the Kings taking on Milwaukee, not the Brewers, but the Bucks. Sound South, Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Tonight, Kings and Bucks. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 3:30. Tip-off at 5. Your exclusive home for the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports 1140.
Hey, this is Greg Papa. Are you working through a major insurance claim? SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to, not what just some adjuster working for an insurance company thinks you should get. Call SunPoint today at 888-247 888-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. Sunpoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
Intercepted by Fred Warner.
Faithful to the Bay.
Fred gets up and runs back the other way, 30.
Don't miss the excitement of 49ers game day. Secure your spot at Levi's Stadium for the 2025 season.
20, one block and he's in.
Season tickets are available now. Inventory is limited, so to speak with a representative, call 415-GO-49ers.
Touchdown!
That's 415-GO-49ers.
San Francisco!
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear because I'm grilling up dinner. You get it?
Yes, good job.
So what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
I joined the military for my kid and his mom. I miss my son a lot. One of the things with the military is tobacco, but I saw a lot of people try to deal with mental issues. Everyone's vaping constantly. After my first hit of a vape, I was hooked like that. Once I got back home from my deployment, I caught my son trying to hit my vape. That was it. I had to quit.
Californians are beating big tobacco. You can too. For free support, text KICK Nicotine to 66819 today.
Meda Chevy saves you $8,000 off MSRP on new 2025 half-ton Silverado LT and RST after rebates. Resolve to save now with $8,000 off new Silverados at MedaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details. Last on 2011 or newer Chevrolet.
Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
Allen Stiles.
Hey, Allen Stiles.
Whitey Gleason.
Hey, Whitey Gleason.
Kyle Ledbetter.
Kyle Ledbetter, what's up?
Hey, Allen Stiles.
Taking you up to 2 p.m. Time for some crosstalk. But real quick, Whitey, we got some business to take care of. Kyle and I do with our prop talk. I don't know, Kyle. Don't feel good about any of this. But we're going to power through. You want to go first?
You don't have to wait for it to drop every time.
I love to wait for it to drop, though. Go ahead, Kyle.
All right. So I'm looking at that DeMontis Sabonis number because he's averaging 20 points and 20 rebounds over the last week. But Keegan Murray, man. Keegan Murray has been back in business. We didn't get to the stats yesterday, but he's shooting over 50% from the three-point line in his first 3.5 games since coming back from injury, excluding the second half of the Bulls game. First 3.5 games back from injury, he shot, I believe it was 12 for 20 from the three-point line, which is 60%. So Keegan Murray has been bombing away from the three-point line. He's more comfortable. He's my favorite Sacramento King, and that number is set at 2.5 tonight. So you know what? Keegan Murray over 2.5 three-pointers made. It's going to be 3, 4, maybe 5 for old Keegan tonight.
Wow.
I believe in my beautiful boy Keegan Murray. My favorite Sacramento King is going to have a big game.
What's up, Sacramento? Well, I'm not seeing Kevin Huerter, at least on this app. I'm not seeing Devin Carter on this app either. I am not even seeing Trey Lyles. That might change a little later, but we're just going off of what we're seeing right now. You know, I'm struggling here because 27.5 does feel like a lot for De'Aaron, but I don't know how those matchups are necessarily going to go. I obviously think he's going to have opportunity with no Malik Monk, but I feel like they might be overcompensating just a little too much. Either he'll go over or DeMar DeRozan will go over 20.5. I'm actually going to stay away from either. And as we talk about the others, I'm actually going to go without Malik Monk in, De'Aaron Fox over 6 assists.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with. I feel great about it? No, but that 27.5 feels like a lot for De'Aaron. You just never know what you're going to get.
I understand your feeling of wanting the Devin Carter one, right? Because Devin Carter is going to be probably the backup point guard, so our primary ball handler when De'Aaron Fox is out of the game. So I would have felt better if they had a Devin Carter option for you, but I guess
is it.
I guess maybe that's the reassurance I can give you. I guess maybe.
Yeah,
that's hard hitting right there. That's a hot take.
The other one I would say is I do like DeMar DeRozan 20.5. With no Malik Monk, DeMar DeRozan 20.5 is between those two, but I'll stick with De'Aaron assists.
Okay. Let's go with that. And then we'll come back tomorrow, and if you get it right, you can say you always believed in it the entire time.
There you go. All right, let's get into our dog segment.
Let the dogs out. Let the dogs out.
Let's get your dogs in. 916-339-1140. Well, I have two choices right now. And it's either Devin Carter or Kevin Huerter.
Devin or Kevin, huh?
And I want to believe, but
Kevin Huerter.
With Malik Monk out, one of them is going to step up. The question is who? You know what, guys? Big players make big plays in big games. The bright lights in Milwaukee.
Still have no idea which one you're going with.
I'm going with Devin Carter.
God blessing me with his body.
I do think
you should have checked what Kevin Huerter did last year in Milwaukee.
We talked about it. Was that 2 years ago?
It was exactly 1 year ago.
So, Kevin, that's the same game?
No, the game that he hit the 8 3-pointers was 2 years ago in Golden One Center.
Got it.
Last year, please inform me, Whitey. I don't know, actually. I know
he had a big day.
Big day.
He did, yeah, because I know that game ended with the missed free throws and the 3-pointer, but I actually don't.
How they got there.
Yeah, so Kevin Huerter, last 2 games, crushing it against the Bucks.
I'm sticking with Devin Carter.
God blessing me with his body.
Kyle?
All right, so I know this isn't our usual who's the unsung player who's going to have to come through tonight, but the Western Conference Player of the Week in Domantas Sabonis, who's averaging 20 points and 20 rebounds a game, is going to be my dog of the game. And the reason that's the case is, one, he's guarding Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very likely he's guarding Giannis tonight. And the best defenders against Giannis Antetokounmpo are often shot-blocking centers who can deny the dribble penetration for Giannis. I think Rudy Gobert is up there in defensive rating against him. Bam Adebayo is high on that list. Clint Capella actually is one of the best defenders against Giannis. So if you want guys who are going to stop Giannis, it's not typically Sabonis is the prototype for players who stop Giannis. So not only is Domantas Sabonis going to have a giant game on the defensive end tonight, but there's no reason why he can't meet his very basic average over the last week of 20 points and 21 rebounds, right? So I'm going to say 20-20 game for Sabonis tonight, and he's going to be locking up Giannis down low. I believe in you, Domas. We're going to need so much from you, and I believe he's going to deliver all of that and more.
I think the only worry for Domas is if he gets into foul trouble because of Giannis. A little foul baiting here, there. But I like your pick. We have Campio on the sack chest saying DeRozan and Murray will have big games. Epic Air is saying Trey is his dog, or excuse me, Devin is his dog, and Trey Lyles is his secondary dog. So we have secondary dogs here. And there we go. Azalea says DeRozan getting 30 plus. Amid Rock, good note. Does Jay Crowder get minutes against his old team? Still haven't seen Jay Crowder in
Gotta
the
be
Doug
garbage
Christie
time.
era. Yeah. So I don't think so, because if they're winning and doing their thing,
And it's not like they need a real defensive stalwart tonight, because like I said earlier, Keegan Murray, after leaving all these games battered and bruised guarding the best player, you finally get to guard Brook Lopez tonight. So it's not like they need a defensive boost from Jay Crowder.
Thank you, Kyle.
By the way, Herder 1 year ago today had 26.
26.
Yeah. And he had 28 2 years ago against the Bucks in Golden One Center. Still his career high in 3-pointers.
So he's your dog, Whitey.
I don't get to play, apparently. Yeah,
you said you didn't want to play.
No,
you said that.
That dog is ugly.
In the 2024. How you doing, Whitey?
Good. Kyle Ledbetter, you got Keegan guarding Brook Lopez and Domas guarding Giannis?
I assume that's what they're going to do. You think they're going to have Domas playing the 4?
It might be the other way. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, basic on offense for the Bucks, Giannis is basically the 5. So I just assumed that Keegan wasn't going to be guarding 5s.
I think it's just going to be a long day. I think it's just let Giannis do whatever. But
I could be wrong. I just assumed, in that offense,
we'll
Brook Lopez is the 4 and Giannis is the 5.
Giannis not shooting the 3-ball real well this year.
No, he is not.
His numbers are like, well, he's not a good 3-point shooter, but I was looking at the numbers today. He's like, ooh, man.
How many is he taking?
Too
many?
Kyle will look it up. He's it's not a good percentage. He's not taking it.
Remember when we did that thing? We all did that thing. When it was, hey, Giannis, he's getting that 3-ball. Remember that?
No, I didn't ever do that. And I know you're going to say, we always do that. Just like we always say, the quarterbacks, just like we did with Caleb Williams and with
CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud, yeah.
That's right.
We always do that.
We always do that.
So Giannis, for his career, averages about 140 3-pointers per season. This year, he's taken 23. He has made 4.
Yeah.
Giannis has made 4 3-pointers this entire season.
He's definitely making one today.
Is that 21% or something, or 22 or
17.4%.
17%, yeah.
Yes, he's taking. That's like Charles Barkley, like in the 1980s. It's like disorienting to see 4 made 3-pointers for a season.
Well, I think it's funny because couldn't you make the argument? You don't want him to. You're not really afraid of Giannis making it, but you can make the argument. Go ahead and make one in the first quarter. I don't even think he'd fall in love with it. Not with 4 made. Probably not.
Shoot them early and often.
Shoot them early and often. All right, Whitey.
They're a good 3-point shooting team other than him, though. They're a really good 3-point shooting team. Other than him.
So you do think Domas will be guarding the 4 tonight, maybe?
I think he'd be more likely to try to guard Lopez than Giannis.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah.
See, I let Kyle cook,
I might be wrong. I just didn't even think twice about it. I just assumed, Brook Lopez sits in the corner and shoots 3s.
Maybe you're 100%. You're the one that wrote the book.
Whitey.
Spurs, not me.
What you got coming up on the show?
Today on the show, short show today, truncated show.
Darn.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, we'll talk a lot about the Kings and the Bucks. I got to tell you the thing about the Rams, that as somebody who would like to see the 49ers do well, it drives me crazy.
Okay. All right. I will be listening. Thanks to Sean Cunningham. Thank you to Kyle Ledbetter. As always, thank you to all the callers, texters, sack chatters, drive guys. Up next, getting you ready for Bucks Kings.
8 straight, baby.
Until tomorrow, secure the bag like the
Gotta go. The only place you'll find Keegan Murray is Sacktown